Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. For years, we feasted on crumbs from Nomura's table. For years, we begged for just a drop of the Square Enix Disney elixir that we all have such an appetite for. And we spent years going from event after event, every Game Awards, every Tokyo Game Show, and now, here on August 16th, at the peak of all recorded human history, we're coming off a summer where we've gotten multiple trailers, artwork, and a freaking TV show! Is this not more than anybody could have expected? Let's feast upon the bountiful harvest that we have been bestowed on this weekend, where yesterday's trailer did not stand alone. Nomura told us, did you enjoy those 90 seconds? I've got another 2.5 minutes for you, and boy is it wild. We're gonna dive into every frame. We're gonna go through every theory we've been thinking about here on this channel. But before we do, I wanna see some 7s and 13s in the chat. Type them out, spell them out, put the Roman numeral, I don't care. If this has been a wild Kingdom Hearts weekend for you, drop the 7s, drop the 13s, put them in the chat, because we will not be stopped on this run. It is going to be, perhaps, the greatest Kingdom Hearts hype cycle of all time. And we're gonna make sure we go through every frame. We're gonna make sure we dissect every theory. We're gonna overthink it. We're gonna underthink it. We're gonna underestimate Nomura. We're gonna overestimate Nomura. It will not matter. It will not matter, because we will be here. And we will carry on the hype. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing today? We're having a good one, are we not? I see we got plenty of early birds chilling in the chat. Let's shout them out quick. I won't get through all of them, but as many as I can. Asian Guy Z, Steph, My Sister Slam, Esor, Occult Hearts, J Magica, Rain 13, Usagi Oni, Kid Q, Sean Tansy, Hollow Purple Haze, Reborn TK, NK Cinnamon, Just a Waffle, Cousin of a Pancake Baby, Tink, Daiza, Born of Kakiri, Dark Dragon, Little Orphan Funkhauser becoming a channel member, re-upping like he does, BJ Games, Jordan Kibb, Raven was right, oh my goodness, Chrysilix is here! Who else we got? We've got Killfest J, we've got Sick Breeze, everybody's here, Lunar Lux is here, Jeff is awesome, is here, Rojix, Burning Baboon, Larks, It Never Ends, Keycaster as well, No Name Unchained, unstoppable, ladies and gentlemen, y'all are unstoppable. I am so excited for today. I gotta be honest with you, I am so excited for today, not just because there were some things in that trailer that gave a little more credence to some of the theories we've been going on, but because that trailer actually debunked one of my favorite theories we had going on. But when one theory is debunked, it opens the door to hundreds more. So let's not stand on ceremony anymore. Let me tell you guys my intentions for today's episode. Like I told you, I'm gonna go through every frame of the new trailer. We're gonna put at the wayside everything we covered yesterday. So for those who might be catching up, or for those who may not be in the know, a 90-second trailer dropped on the Friday. We dissected that one to its fullest. So at the risk of repeating myself too much from yesterday's episode, I'm going to basically not skip over, but gloss over the 90 seconds that we got on Friday and really hone in on those extra 2 minutes that we got last night. We could talk a little bit about the panel as well. Some interesting information was shared, but we may save the panel for an episode of its own, because this trailer alone gives us a lot to go over. All right, so let's get everything set. Make sure I can see everybody here. I didn't shout out those over on Twitch. Wildcat Diana, Lei Doe, and Nikki Sensei with the follows. Drew and the Dominoes is here. The Vape God's brother is here. Laurel Bluebell and Wise Wind. Dilly Dilly. Good to see you here. Dilly Dilly. I do like that. and Yoshi91 over on Kick. Doing my best, guys. You know me. I do my best to shout everybody out, read as many chats as I can, but some slip through the cracks. What can we say? All right, look, enough. Let's do this, okay? Let's go through this trailer. I've got so many ideas to share. I've got so many theories, primarily focusing on Riku and Kairi. But Riku and Kairi really come in at the very tail end of that trailer, just between Riku's appearance in Quadratum, and then we have Kairi's voice at the end of the trailer. So even though most of my thinking and a lot of my theories have been orbiting those two characters, we're going to keep the front end of this episode focused on the trailer itself and talking about some of the characters and scenarios more specifically referenced. But with that said, shout out to the Artist Joint who just re-upped the membership. Let me see. Let me get everybody those shout outs real quick before we miss anything and move forward. So shout out to Hollow Purple Haze, Little Orphan Funkhauser, and the Artist Joint for their YouTube memberships. Much appreciated, gentlemen. Much appreciated. And Dilly Dilly with a subscription over on Twitch. Thank you, Dilly Dilly. Let me give me every excuse to say your name as you can, okay? Let's do it. The Namur appearance was crazy. I mean, look, you guys who were here yesterday, I am Mr. Skeptic when it comes to whether or not we're getting trailers or stuff. But something in my gut said we're getting that extended trailer and it's going to be Riku relevant. Some part of me just felt it in my bones. You know, you don't summon a panel like that unless you mean business. You know what I'm saying? And I broke out the coffee, or you might say the cocoa, for today's episode because I plan on going for a long, long time. All right. Let's do it. Riku being in a separate place is dead. Josh Z, yeah, we talked about, and we'll get into it later when we get to that part of the trailer, but one of the things we really talked about was Riku ending up in a dream Quadratum. That's dead. At the very least, it's not his first arrival, right? He's going to go to, let's just call it base Quadratum first, at the very least. So the whole idea that Sora was going to be in this Quadratum and Riku was going to be in this Quadratum, axe it. Axe it. We're moving on to bigger and better things. All right, let's get into it. I'll have to mute when Miguel sings so we avoid copyright, but you guys get that. Let's roll it. Let's roll it.
Brings back memories.
Okay, something right off the bat, and by the way, this is how much of a sicko I am, and this is what I mean by every freaking frame, every freaking line. First thing he says, brings back memories. And then watch what the next thing he says is.
Gracias.
Gracias. Brings back memories. Gracias. For those who may not be in the know, gracias means thank you. Now, just to get us started, okay? We've talked a lot about the kind of role Naminé's gonna play in this Lost Masters arc. Probably gonna have to restore the memories of characters like Ventus and maybe even Sora from what we've seen. So it's very peculiar to me when we talk about the final death, right? This world lore about memories and death and how when the last memory of you is gone, that's the final death. Very interesting that right at the start of the trailer, memories and thank you. Memories and thank you. Thank Naminé. It's coming. We still haven't thanked Naminé. And call me crazy, but I think right there in the opening line of the extended trailer, brings back memories. Gracias. Call it foreshadowing. When Naminé brings back memories to Sora or Ventus, gracias. Thank Naminé. Just saying. Just saying. As J Magica says, Naminé's entire existence revolves around this concept. This is no coincidence. This is no coincidence. All right, let's run it back.
Brings back memories.
Already cooking, Esor.
Gracias.
Peak cinema. Peak cinema. Death, memories, and gratitude. Can you think of 3 words that orbit the character of Naminé more than that? Let's go. Let's go.
Huh? Wait, what happened?
He's been forgotten. When there's no one left in the living world who remembers you, you disappear from this world.
Now again, We went over that a lot in yesterday's episode, how that concept may very well apply to Quadratum as well.
We call it the final death. Hey, it happens to everyone eventually. Come on, De La Cruzito. You got a contest to win.
All right, here's where I may have to mute. Can't have Miguel getting us copyright strike. But I don't know about you guys. I've had Miguel's voice and this freaking song trapped in my head for like 2 straight days. It was cute at first, but now I can't take it anymore. So we need a new song from the OST to pop up, okay? Because I've already got Miguel brain rot. And we're good. Let's roll it. Okay, so boom, right here. Right here. This was just like, I mean, with the horns swelling and the music crescendoing, this shot of the Master of Masters is so beautiful, man. And listen, we've talked ad nauseum about the Master of Masters is light, whether that's his name, whether he's conceptually a figure of light. We've talked about this. And again, time and time again, we come back to shots like this where he's looking towards the sun, looking towards the light. He's always looking towards the light, right? Whether it's the sun or whether it's the moon in Quadratum, which is a lesser light. So the Master of Masters always seems to have this fixation on where the sun or the moon is, where the sources of light are coming from. That said as well, I can't help but at the very least, like, how would I put it? Like, just adore how beautiful this scene looks. Like, this is the kind of beautiful scenery we're going to be seeing in the Lost Masters arc. Like, nothing in Kingdom Hearts 3 looked that beautiful. Like, that is stunning. And then again, there's so much in this image too, right? Like, I almost want to hang this up on my wall because it's not just the master wearing a coat that protects him from darkness, staring into the distance at the source of light, but on the floor surrounding him are dandelions, right? There's just so much in that one shot. He's looking towards the sky like Sora, like everything is there. Everything is there. The light, the sky, the dandelions, all there. Beautiful shot. Again, nothing too much that we could pull out of this shot because it's very similar to what we saw in Union Cross. So again, we've talked about the Master of Masters is light, connections to sources of light, the sun, the moon, soul, whatever you want to call it. Here he is looking directly into the sun, into the distance, into the sky, surrounded by dandelions. And we'll take a swig for that. And a shout out to 13 Red Cloud, who's joining us for the first time today. Give him a welcome. What's going on, my man? Hope you're doing well. Let's move on to the next handful of frames we can fixate on. But again, absolutely beautiful imagery, beautiful scenery, symbolism. It's all there. Like I say, guys, what I love about Nomura and Nojima is they write stories like their mythologies. And it's very useful to look at these stories through that framework. Speaking of which, later this week, we're going to be doing the cosmic mythos of Final Fantasy VII. That's going to be our next episode later this week. But for now, it's Kingdom Hearts Day in the sun. No pun intended. And then again right here, right? Next frames to analyze. Dandelions, and again, guys, this is what I'm saying. You got to pay attention. Dandelions, not just flying off to another world, flying off into the sky, into the blue day sky that we normally associate with Sora. So again, it's like the dandelions. It might be possible that the other world that dandelions fly to, that there might be something about the dandelions that orbits Sora. That wherever the dandelions fly off to, they're always going to orbit Sora. It might explain why a lot of the characters ended up where they did for Organization 13, whether it's characters like Laurium or Elrena, characters who were from Daybreak Town. It might explain how they ended up where they are. So just very interesting to see like the dandelions flying into that blue sky that we so often associate with Sora. Dilly Dilly says, didn't notice the dandelions. I tell you, this is why we go through frame by frame by frame, baby. Oh my God, this is 100% from the opening. Yeah, it's got the opening CGI sort of look to it. All right, let's keep this rolling. Let's keep this rolling. And then bam. Okay, so who knows where this shot is from? It actually kind of reminds me of the shot at the beginning of KH4, where Sora is in that final world-esque setting and the clouds around him are like moving rapidly. This looks relatively similar to that. And remember what I was saying to you guys before, the dandelions orbiting Sora. Here they are again, right there on screen. You saw them? Look how quick that transition was, right? Very interesting. Master of Masters looking to the light and the sky. Bam, dandelions flying off into the sky. Cut to Sora, our mythological sky. This is what I'm saying. Look at it through that framework. Our mythological sky. And bam, here come the dandelions. They flew towards him. You understand what I'm saying? And we're talking about this being that intro segment. They flew towards him, which makes me wonder, is that why they ended up in Quadratum? Because Sora would be there one day. Is that why characters like Elrena and Lorium ended up where they ended up? Because they would orbit him. They're drawn to him. In the same way that Kairi, the Princess of Heart, is sort of tethered to Sora in that way, it makes me wonder if the dandelions are much the same in that regard. All right. Laurel Bluebell says, love that they're continuing this side shot of Sora that they've done with Sora Roxas in every numbered opening since KH1. I mean, it's got the vibes. It's got the vibes. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah, Kairi voice is what we got. Don't you, Mad Philosopher, you stick around. Don't you worry. I got good stuff for you. I got good stuff for you. Your girl's not being disrespected. Trust me. Trust the process. Trust me. And when we get to that end of the trailer, you'll pick up what I'm putting down. You'll smell what I'm stepping in. They're setting Kairi up. Don't forget. And this is why I'm excited about, this is what I'm saying too. Let's not let Riku getting the spotlight right now be dampered by Kairi not being there. I love Riku. He's my favorite character in the whole series. But as far as KH3, Remind, and Melody of Memory went, he kind of had to ride the bench until the end of Melody of Memory. If you had told me that in KH3, Kairi would be the one standing beside Sora when they fought Master Xehanort, I would have called you crazy. I'd be like, no, it's going to be Riku. But it wasn't Riku. Riku, despite his connections to Master Xehanort, didn't get to fight Xehanort. Kairi did. Kairi did. Riku wasn't the one who saved all the Guardians from the fall to darkness in the Keyblade Graveyard. Kairi was. She's being set up. She's being set up. And then Melody of Memory. This one character got 30 minutes of cutscenes dedicated pretty much strictly to her. They're setting her up. But to set her up like that from the second half of KH3 through Remind, through Melody of Memory, Riku in a lot of ways had to take a back seat. So now let's let Riku take the spotlight again and not dampen it by saying, where's Kairi? Kairi is being set up for her triumph. We're going to get into it later in the episode when we reach there. But don't you worry, Philosopher. You stick around. You stick around. You'll pick up what I'm putting down. I swear. I swear. But let's keep this rolling. Again, dandelions flying towards Sora.
This is Quadratum.
And then bam, we get this shot of Quadratum. We get this shot of Quadratum, which I do want to pull up. Little fun fact about this actual real-world location. Let's pull this up. So I believe this is based on what's known as the Shibuya Sky in Tokyo, which is why we're seeing this similar spot. So if you type in Shibuya Sky on DuckDuckGo or Google Images, you'll see a shot resembling this. So here they are pretty much at the Shibuya Sky from Tokyo. I think this is a really cool reference. You know what I mean? Wanted to share this with you guys, see where some of these shots are inspired by. They talked about in the panel walking around Tokyo and being inspired by certain sites and certain shots. This right here, I think, is a prime example of what they were talking about. Okay. That shot also looks like a ship out on the ocean. Dark Dragon, it's a very interesting observation, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
They're asking for Dandelion Dispatch.
Okay, Dandelion Dispatch. Dandelion Dispatch. Probably my favorite sentence in the whole trailer. Let's take a swig, let's play it back, and then let's talk about it, okay? All right. Let's do this. Dandelion Dispatch. First, let me say this. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know what it is. I'm just going to pull chat off screen just for a second. There is just something about this shot that I love. There is just something about this shot, these two on the phone, chilling in Shibuya. There's just something about this I love that just gets me so excited. I can't even place it. I usually have the words. I don't have the words. But there's just something about this that I love so much. And I want to bring up an interesting motif between Sora and Strelitzia, right? It seems like a lot of Sora's clothes are very dark coated. You know what I mean? And Strelitzia's clothes are very light coated. You know what I'm saying? There's a contrast between the two of them in that way, where Sora's clothes are very dark oriented. Not saying it's anything different from his usual, but you have Strelitzia, who really like stands out because her dress is, you know, bright white. And her hair too is very colorful and prismatic. But let's talk about that sentence that was uttered, right? Let's run this back. Let's run this back just a few seconds, okay?
They're asking for Dandelion Dispatch.
Okay, they're asking for Dandelion Dispatch. Who is they? Who is they? Who's there? Who's asking for it? Who's asking for the Dandelion Dispatch? I think we have a right to know. We got to figure it out. But it's kind of what I was saying to you guys on last night's episode, right? That Dandelion Dispatch. We've been talking about this. I think, again, we've been talking about this since the trailer we got last month, that there are factions. There are very clearly factions in Quadratum. And look, I'm not the one who came up with this theory. Xehanort's the one who came up with this theory. He talks about the four factions of the Keyblade War, or the different factions of the Keyblade War. I believe, and have believed, that the Dandelions are one of those factions, unquestionably. And I believed for a very long time, like we talked in last night's episode, that from the pipeline of Ava down to Sigurd, down to Strelitzia, that is like the Dandelion, not pecking order, but that is the Dandelion pipeline, let's say. That it's very clear that all these characters are a unit. When we're talking about Ava, Strelitzia, Sigurd, these characters are operating like a unit. The Dandelions are now not just some group that the master named and handed off to Ava. They seem to have a purpose. They're very well organized. They have smartphones, for God's sake. So it's turned into something so much more than just those kids Ava gave a speech to in front of the fountain. It's now become this entire faction that knows when Keyblade wielders are going to wash up on shore or appear somewhere. Again, that's how Sigurd knew to pick up Brain. It's how Remus knew to pick up Player in Missing Link. It's how Strelitzia knew to pick up Sora in KH4. So you're starting to see all of that play itself out. So when we talked about when we talked about factions in Quadratum, seeing that the Dandelions are organized in this way, right? They get pinged on their cell phones. Their teammates, their allies. You're seeing that between Sora and Strelitzia. They're calling for a Dandelion Dispatch. Okay, so that means that a Darkseid or Heartless appeared somewhere. Okay, we're dispatching Dandelions to 34th Street, 34th and 7th or something. It's very interesting to me. It's very interesting to me. And now I just want to pivot from that just for a second, right? Keeping in mind the Dandelion factions. There's a, outside of Xehanort, just talking about different factions in the Keyblade War, there's actually another precedent for this that exists outside of Kingdom Hearts, and very well may be alluding to characters who we may see cross over into Quadratum. Before I get specific, a swig to stay hydrated. Okay. Now, I want to bring something up. It seems very obvious to me, and you guys let me know if you disagree, if you think there's something I'm missing that's crucial. But we talked about it in last night's episode, so you can see more about that if you watch that episode. Excuse me, kind of tripped over my words there. But it seems very obvious to all of us now that Sora lost his memories. Sora doesn't have his memories. Primarily evidenced by when he saw Donald and Goofy, he didn't call out to them. He didn't even seem to recognize them at first. And in fact, the memories of them flooded his senses so much he passed out. So it's very obvious to me that this is a Sora who doesn't have his memories. So let's let's string together a few ideas here, huh? Let's string together a few ideas here and see how they add up. So we have a Sora who woke up in a city based on Shibuya, has a smartphone that's giving him orders, lost his memories, okay? Woke up in a city, smartphone giving him orders, lost his memories, is working with a faction. Gee, is he starting to sound exactly like Neku from The World Ends With You? For those who maybe have not played The World Ends With You, remember these characters appeared in Dream Drop Distance, which I think truly is like the strong prequel to KH4. Neku woke up in a city just like Shibuya. Neku woke up in a city without his memories. Neku woke up with a smartphone delivering him orders. Neku woke up in a world where he had to choose a faction or a team to perform on. And Neku had all of this happen to him as a result of him dying. I'm sorry, that all of this lines up way too much with Sora's current predicament for me not to think The World Ends With You is coming, for me not to think that Neku and his friends are coming. Now, I don't know if this means he's playing the Reaper's game, right? I'm not going to say that it's the Reaper's game. But, again, I'll string all those reasons together one more time so you can see just how much overlap there is. Here is what Neku and Sora, KH4 Sora, have in common. We'll do it again, okay? Woke up in a city they don't recognize based on Shibuya. Woke up in that city without their memories. In that city, they had to join a team and a faction. In that city, they had a smartphone delivering them orders in missions. And lastly, both Sora and Neku had this happen to them as a result of death or dying. And look, I'm not saying Neku's going to be a party member and he's going to be fighting alongside us or anything like that. I'm not saying that won't happen, but there's so much overlap there. It is very hard for me to believe that we're not going to see some kind of crossover between them again. Could be in dreams, could be in memory, but there's too much overlap going on there for me really not to zero in on The World Ends With You and Neku. Nomura was wearing a World Ends With You shirt at the panel, right? You know what? Since you brought it up, that's where we're going to take this. That's where we're going to take this, okay? Because you're right to bring that up. You are right to bring that up. We're going to pull it up on screen. We're going to pull it up on screen for all to see. Okay? Just in case you guys think I'm looking into it too much or I'm being a little crazy. Okay, here's how Homeboy, all right? Here's how Homeboy showed up to the event last night. Let me shrink it down so you guys can see it a little better. Here's how my man showed up. For those who can't see, I'll zoom it in. We're going to pull it up so there's no doubts. Okay? What does that say? Black honey chili cookie. Black honey chili cookie. Let's shrink it back down. What is that brand from The World Ends With You called? Oh yeah, Black honey chili cookie. So Homeboy shows up repping World Ends With You merch, and you think I'm the crazy one? I'm telling you guys, clear as day, what it is he had to do. All right? My man showed up wearing the Black honey chili cookie shirt, bro. I don't know what else to say. All right, let's get that trailer pulled back up. But again, put his outfit together with everything I've told you about the overlap. I don't know, man. And then you consider the 104 building. Okay, there's, again, just too much. What kind of name is that? You really want to know, Drew? You really want to know why I think Black honey chili cookie is a brand name? Because it actually, you guys are going to think I'm so insane. It actually encapsulates the spirit of Kingdom Hearts. And the spirit of how Nomura and Nojima like to tell stories. Truly, at their core, it's always about being bittersweet, or always about a mix of light and dark. So let's break up Black Honey Chili Cookie into two separate stands. Black honey, black, dark, honey, sweet, light, black, dark, honey, sweet, light. You see that? Black honey, right? You have something that's like dark and something that's like light and sweet. Dark and bitter, light and sweet. Black honey, chili cookie. Something savory, something sweet. Just like, guys, this is why I'm not crazy, I swear to you. Sea salt ice cream operates under this same premise. Salty, but sweet. Sea salt ice cream, salty, but sweet. Black honey chili cookie. Bitter, sweet, savory, sweet. Like, this is how they approach all of this, man. You know, this is what I'm saying. There's a philosophy to what these men write. And it might be as simple as something like bittersweet, beating you over the head with it. But regardless, the pattern persists. Now, that tangent aside, Dandelion Dispatch. Not only to me does this give us evidence for The World Ends With You reappearing in some way, but the whole factions theory that we've discussed on previous episodes, we're adding more and more to that credence with every trailer that drops, and I'm willing to bet that when we get our next one, we'll be talking about that very same idea. All right, let's do this, okay? Let's keep this rolling, right? Let's roll, baby. Okay, listen. I just want to say, I love Strelitzia's design. I think she's adorable. And, you know, it's funny. I was watching this trailer, extended trailer with my wife yesterday. And I was like, I don't know what it is about Strelitzia, where I feel like I've barely gotten to know this character outside of Union Cross, but I feel like she's already won you over. And my wife was just like, honey, that's your masculine urge to protect. And I was like, you're probably right. There's just something about Strelitzia I want to protect. I think I'm Lorium maxing. I think that's what's going on. I think I'm Lorium maxing, guys. Okay? I don't know how it happened, but it happened. I think I got to start wearing a little more pink. Okay? The lost puppy. That's what I mean, Deza. That's what I mean. There is something innate in me that's like, I must protect her. So, and again, no one in this world knows me better than my wife. So if that's her analysis, I'm willing to bet she's right. All right, let's keep rolling. Actually, before I even talk about that,
They're asking.
keep in mind, guys, we got a lucky emblem here, gang. We got a lucky emblem. Grow out your hair too. No. You don't understand. You don't understand. This hair grows like an afro. And it doesn't even curl. It's just poof. So like this just grows like this. There is no growing my hair out. There is no where it becomes long, luscious locks like Marluxia. There is none of that. It's just gonna poof. Okay? There's a reason I keep it short. Okay? But it's gonna poof. Okay. Back to it. Jiminy Charm on the phone. Is there?
Asking for Daniel.
Yeah, you're right. We got a Jiminy Cricket. By the way, I just realized I burped into the mic. I'm sorry. But we got a Jiminy Cricket charm right here. That's wild. My hair be like that too. Yeah, Lunar, I could see it. Put them into cornrows like Zaldin. Well, you know what's funny about that? Okay, maybe one day we can work on something where there's some kind of goal and we can make this happen. Because it's funny you mentioned put them into cornrows like Zaldin. If you guys haven't realized, Landy and Dylan have the same letters. So my nobody name is Zaldin. So maybe one day I'll do a full-blown Zaldin cosplay where I'll do the cornrows. Because, again, Zaldin is my nobody name. Just saying. I'm just saying. All right, let's roll it back. Look at this. Look at this.
Lion dispatch.
Okay, okay. Sorry. I didn't even have it pulled up, but now we're looking at it. This is what I wanted to look at anyway. 1 second. Let me see. I should have had this pulled up before, but I want to see if I could pull up an actual example. Okay? Because we have to talk about this. Okay, I don't have it on me. If anybody can find the clip from Versus 13 where these are in the sky, because we saw these in the first trailer they dropped this year, and, you know, it wasn't that clear of a shot, so I didn't know for sure. It looked like the airships from Versus 13, but it wasn't a clear enough shot, so I didn't know for sure. But now they made it clear as day. Okay, this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is evidence of Nomura's revenge. Those ships were on the Nintendo Direct trailer. Yes, but I remember I was skeptical just because they were blurry. You know what I mean? They were blurry, so I was skeptical. The Versus 13 airships. Okay, I can't put it on screen because Versus 13 gets copyright struck. But actually, I can do it. I can do it. If I keep it still. If I keep it still and we don't... Let me see here. Let me pull it like this. Let's make you very small. I'll show you guys evidence. So here's the Versus 13 trailer from way back in the day. And if you can see it, it's tough to see. Let me blow it up a little bit. But these are the airships from Versus 13. And they look incredibly similar to the ships we see flying high in Quadratum. So again, as if we needed any more evidence. I think the evidence is overwhelming at this point. I don't think anybody denies that this is what we're dealing with. But Nomura's Versus 13 revenge is coming to Kingdom Hearts. And there's nothing any of us can do to stop it. That's just how it is. So I personally love this. Right? Keep Kingdom Hearts true to its core. But feel free to bring as much of your Versus 13 vision into this as you want, Nomura. I'm all for it. Seriously. But let's keep that in mind because there's something else Versus 13 related coming up, because I don't think that the whole Versus 13 of it all starts and stops with these airships and with background lore. I actually finally believe that based on what we heard at the end of the trailer with Kairi's voice line, I think I now know how the Versus 13 lore will apply to Sora and Kairi. But we will save that for later in the episode. We've still got... Oh my god, we still got 2 minutes of trailer left. Let's do this. Okay, look, nothing here that is too hard to dissect or explain. We see Darkseid doing his thing. Here comes Sora. I love this shot. You gotta, let me tell you, this is just, you know, you're just not gonna get this anywhere else. And what I mean by that is you're going to have there's plenty of places you can get this sort of superhero rescue. But the fact that there's just the cat here. You know, it's one of the things I love. You didn't have to include the cat. But I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad that you did. But anyway, it's cool to see this. And here we have these heart...
Behind you!
And confirmation that it is Valley. So first of all, can we just talk about
Behind you!
my man's got a stance on him, boy. My man's got a stance on him, boy. I love it. You know, not too much to dissect there, but I'm just saying that I like his style. And again, we saw this in the trailer from Friday. And now here we go. I'm going to run that back just for a second. And I'm going to put this in slow-mo so we can watch it. Because I talked about, right? And we've talked about this quite a lot. Even though we normally talk story factors here at the Lodge. Normally talk narrative, character arcs, mythological inspiration, things like that. Once in a while, we'll dive into gameplay. Once in a while, we'll dive right into gameplay. And it's something I don't talk about too much because I'm not as much of a gameplay junkie as I am a story junkie. Although I do take pride in the fact, took out all the KH4, including Yuzora on critical mode. No easy task. I recommend everybody try it because when you play Kingdom Hearts on the harder difficulties, it forces you to maximize the gameplay. So anyway, that tangent aside, and again, this was something we touched on a little bit in yesterday's episode, but I just want to reiterate it again because we got to see a little bit more. I love platforming, or at least more fluent platforming to the boss battles. I want to include it in the base gameplay more as it is, but seeing the way, even just right here, the way they're experimenting with some platforming and action for a boss battle, I think can be really, really cool. Now, just watch this in a little bit of slow-mo. I'm going to keep the sound off. Like, does this not look sick? You dodge, keep left, right? You can jump up onto this rail so that you can get an angle to attack the boss. You drop on them, and then they knock us out of that. But I just want to ride that back. It's not much. I hope they can show us more soon. I hope that we get a gameplay trailer. Much as I love story trailers and Disney World trailers, I do hope that we get one primary, gameplay focused trailer. Because again, I love this. You got two rails you could hop between. This one's coming. You move over to the left. And again, using the chain. A lot of, we're starting to see a lot of chain imagery in the little bit of gameplay that they're showing us. If you've noticed that, with the little bit of gameplay they're showing us, they do seem to keep coming back to this chain. And not only that, on last night's panel, they explicitly, Tai Yasue did, explicitly mention the gameplay mechanic where you're using the chain. So what that leads to, I don't know, but it's something worth keeping an eye on. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got our first super chat of the night coming from Ruda Chris, who says, all the hype, so stoked for this trailer. I love the possible inspiration from Remake Trilogy / Neo The World Ends With You of switching the controlled characters. Yes, yes. Listen, the Goofy and Donald segment is coming up. I am really excited to discuss that. So, Ruda Chris, thank you for those $5. Thank you for dropping in here with that. Yeah, I'm excited to get into that. Let's keep this going, huh? Let's keep this going, huh? All right. Ooh, let's put the sound back on. And let's get it back to normal playback speed. And away we go. And again, we saw this in yesterday's trailer.
It's showtime.
This is a lot of new information.
Okay, I need to pause. I need to pause because when I actually watched this last night, I yelled. I think that's the only thing I can say. It's like I just yelled at the top of my lungs. There were no coherent words. It was just like, so we're just gonna brace myself. Let's talk about what we're about to see. Okay?
I bet I'll find a clue to saving Sora now.
Okay.
Find a clue to saving Sora now.
Any ideas about what book this could be? Because, man, we're going to find out. Yeah, I'm with you, Z's lore. I don't think it's the Book of Prophecies. That was my knee-jerk reaction, but I don't think it's the Book of Prophecies. I think we're just looking at something from the Scala archives. Maybe somebody's journal, right? Maybe Brain's journal. Could be a copy of the Book of Prophecies. Who knows? But I'm inclined, I think it's a different book. I really think it's a different book. I don't think it's the Book of Prophecies. I think this might be something Brain wrote, right? Maybe, right? Because a lot of things could be secret reports, like Lunar is saying. See, there we go. Brain's secret reports. Lunar Lux, drop it in here with that fire. Could be Brain's secret reports or the equivalent. Let's see. Noct Flugel seems to think it's the Book of Prophecies. Laurel Bluebell says maybe this is one of the books from KH4 Hollow Bastion. That would be one hell of a callback. Hey, yo! Shout out to Grub Crump throwing 2 gifted subs over on Twitch. My man, I love it. Thank you so much, Grump Crump. Dude, good to have you in here. Always appreciated, my friend. Always appreciated. But again, let's keep it going. All right. So, like, you guys remember what I was saying and what I've been saying? I'm fine with less Disney Worlds. But in exchange for that, I want playable King Mickey segments. And I'm very pleased, right? Because based on the screenshot we saw earlier in the year, they only showed a platforming segment for King Mickey. Right off the bat, what we see here, an attack function. So we will get to play as King Mickey through and through. And yes, we got a little bit of King Mickey gameplay in Remind, but it was very much on the rails, so to speak. This looks way more freeing, way more open. And yet, here we are. Something worth noting too is it looks like you have to find 5 pages or something like that. We'll see. We'll see. Let's keep this rolling. All right, let's keep this rolling. Playable Mickey was kind of teased from the screenshots in May. Yes, a platforming segment was teased, but now we see that we will get to fight as Mickey. We will be fighting. Interesting. Wait a minute. The implications. Hold on. The implications, people. Hold on. Time out. Mickey gets sucked into this book, right? Now, this book has something to do with the history of Scala ad Caelum. Not only the history of Scala ad Caelum. No. I got it. This is the book of the astral plane. This is the book of the astral plane. That's what I think this is. That's what I think he's in right now. Okay? Because he said in the voice line before this, I'm sure this will give us a hint to help lead us to Sora, right? So with that in mind, and again, if you saw the leaks, even before the leaks, going back 4 years ago, okay, we talked about that there would be some sort of portal from Scala ad Caelum into Quadratum. The Missing Link beta and trailer showed us that there is something called the astral plane, and if you happen to see the leaks, you know what the astral plane can lead you to. With that in mind, I believe Mickey is inside of the book that details the astral plane and how it works. And here's what I was saying about the implications, guys, is something's going on where something has infected the book. I think whatever happened to Scala and Missing Link, excuse me, may need to refill my water soon. But I think whatever happened to Scala and Missing Link is also evidenced in this book. Because if you, again, what's there to attack in the book? What's there to attack in the book? What's in the book? It's got to be Heartless. It's got to be Nightmares. It's got to be something, man. There's something in the book that's contaminating it. And I've got this feeling that if Mickey goes in there and not only uncovers the knowledge within this book, but can clean it out, like Usagioni is saying, it's coded all over again. Just like in Recoded. Very similar. That very well may have ended up as foreshadowing for what's happening here. So when Mickey goes in this book and he uncovers the secrets of the astral plane, the secrets of Scala ad Caelum, this hidden knowledge, he's not only unlocking it for himself and the Guardians, but he's in some way, for lack of a better term, going to decontaminate it. And what's going to be the result of decontaminating this book? right? Will the dandelions over in Quadratum now have access to it? Will their memories of it be restored, right? Because maybe, and maybe this is why it was called Missing Link. No. Maybe that's why it was called Missing Link and why it's an unknown era, because maybe something happened at the end where it was forgotten. So, for instance, like imagine a scenario where characters like Ava and Sigurd are in Quadratum, but because of something that happened, not only was their Scala destroyed or sealed away, so too were their memories of it. So what if whatever Mickey does in this book, what if it unleashes the whatever's filtering those memories? Because again, there's not only knowledge and wisdom he's unlocking in here, there's something contaminating the book. Otherwise, what would there be to attack? What would there be to attack? So I can't help but feel like that's a little bit of what we're getting into here. All right? Now, that in mind, let's keep this going. Okay. Okay, and just before we even get into Paper Mickey and the 1,000-Year Door, there's the part of my theory brain that's going, why show us this with the stained glass bridging a gap, right? Maybe whatever is going on here is going to bridge a gap, but we'll see. Hey, yo, we've got another super chat coming from Speaking Opposites, who says, I am still in disbelief. We all are, man. We all are, Mr. Opposites. But that's why we're here. That's why we're here, to bask in the glory of our disbelief. Okay, Desnume says, what if his attacking Fabric of Scala or Missing Link's memories, shredding the Book of the Infection or discovering it? That's kind of what I'm getting at, right? I think you're saying something similar, that like there's a filter from whatever's in this book and people's memories of that Scala. And I'm wondering if Mickey is going to remove that filter, so to speak. But again, here we have, and let's try to see how much we can pull out of this. So back to Mickey. So this is obviously something Mickey is remote controlling. Paper airplanes flying through the sky, mountains, forest. Not sure there's anything here that we can dissect too much. Flowers at the beds at the bottom. Let's keep it going. I love, and again, we talked about, right? I was talking about earlier in this episode and previous episodes, more platforming. I love the action of Kingdom Hearts, but stop trying to mix up the gameplay with mini games and all this other stuff and collect a crab. Just give us platforming stuff like this, and I just think that's a much better way to mix up gameplay. And then again, look, I don't know if you guys caught this in the trailer, but we have like little Mickey here, right? And then we have Paper Mickey, who's just bulldozing.
When folks disappear above, is this where they always end up?
But Sora isn't here.
That was already in the trailer. And then this, dude. And what do I keep saying? Guys, what do I keep saying? The platforming, man. They're not only bringing it back, and this is what I mean, where I feel like, you know, there'll never be another KH1. You couldn't remake KH1 today if you tried. You really just couldn't. There's a unique charm to the game that can never be replicated. But the original vision for Kingdom Hearts was to be this combination of high-energy action combat and platforming, right? The inspiration for KH1 was Super Mario 64, right? In the way Mario goes to other worlds by going through those paintings, right? That sort of platforming and the ability for action commands with the platforming is really what inspired Nomura to want to make Kingdom Hearts. So to me, I feel like KH4 might be the first time where they have the skills and the tech to fully realize that vision that Mario 64 inspired, to make not just, because again, I think KH2 perfected a lot of things with the combat that KH3 built on top of, and I think the reason KH2 is so beloved is because the combat is so good, but it is missing the platforming, which isn't for everybody, but the platforming is a part of Kingdom Hearts' full-on vision, which is why I am preferable to KH3 of all of them, because I think KH3 captures both the platforming and the action better than any other title in the series. But I think KH4 might be the first entry to really knock it out of the park. Because for me, and again, I'm a KH3 supremacist, or to others, you might call me a KH3 apologist. But I do believe KH3's combat is the best in the series. And while I like the platforming, and I think the platforming is a step in the right direction, I did feel as though KH3's platforming left a lot to be desired. Again, better than KH1's platforming, and improvement over the gameplay loop of KH2, but ultimately, when you compare it to the combat especially, I felt KH3's platforming felt short. What I'm seeing in this trailer alone, just between the grinding, like surfing on the Keyblade, grinding on the rail, and then attacking the boss, and then we see in the first trailer, Sora is like surfing down broken buildings to get to Darkseid, and now we see Donald and Goofy like surfing through the underworld, man. I love what I'm seeing here, man. I love what I'm seeing here. By the way, shout out to the Love Doctor 69 All Day 7, who says, sort of unrelated, but I would like to learn what the foretellers are doing since they aren't with Zigbar. I have a feeling Zigbar is looking for Ava. We're going to get to it, man. We're almost up to that part in the trailer. Again, we are a minute away from that part of the trailer, and we're 1 hour into today's episode. It's going to be a long episode, guys. It's going to be a long episode. We might have another 3-hour episode, but we'll see. How about a swig for that? Okay, but again, seeing this kind of platforming, if you want to mix up the gameplay loop, don't do these stupid mini games. Just my opinion. Roll it. Love it. Okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, guys. This, guys, you don't know what this means, okay? And I don't even know where to start on this. I don't. Let me look at my notes. I don't even know where to start on this. We've got a playable duck and dog, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think you guys, I don't think everyone, I have to start somewhere. Okay, so again, before we get into the implications of what Donald and Goofy being playable even means, if you notice up here, we got Hades. He's kind of watching from his throne, and he's putting them through 3 waves of Heartless. And I suppose that, again, Hades likes to set up challenges and deals, right? So I assume that if they get through these 3 waves, he'll be willing to talk or negotiate with them. So very cool to observe that right away. But now I just want to say that, like, Donald and Goofy being playable, guys, everyone's on the table. Everyone is on the table, guys. Everyone's on the table. Like I said, we've had playable Mickey in the past, right? But outside of his rescue missions in, like, KH2, we've never really had a full-blown moveset for Mickey. But then we look at that little Scala segment, and we see that we are going to be able to interact and do combat as King Mickey. There will be a King Mickey moveset. But now when we look at this part of the trailer, there are full-blown movesets for Donald and Goofy. There are full-blown movesets with Donald and Goofy. With command menus. And combat style. Combat style? What does that mean? Can Donald switch between a black mage and a white mage? I'm gonna lose my freaking mind. Can Donald switch between black mage and white mage? Do you realize how much freaking fun that would be? Oh my. And this is what I'm saying, guys. If Donald and Goofy are playable, everyone's on the table. Everyone is on the table. And for those who can't read between the lines, let me make this simple for you. If they've got a playable Donald and Goofy segment, 2 characters who they had to build movesets for from scratch, if there's a Donald and Goofy segment, do you really think there's not going to be a Kyrie and Aqua segment? Do you really think that they're not going to do that when they already have movesets for Aqua and Kyrie? Okay? Everything is on the table now. Everyone is on the table. It's coming. It's coming. Playable young Xehanort on the table. Playable Strelitzia on the table. Playable Sigurd on the table. It is all on the table now. And the excitement should be, who are these more outlandish characters we might get a chance to play as? Because I'm telling you right now, Riku is a given. I'm telling you right now, Donald, Goofy, and Mickey are a given. I'm telling you right now, quote me on it. Quote me on it. Kyrie and Aqua will be playable. Kyrie and Aqua will have their segments. And we'll talk more about it when we get to the end of the trailer. But I'm telling you right now, if Kyrie and Aqua don't have a playable segment in KH4, it's because they're getting their own freaking game. Now, I think the former's more likely than the latter, but my point is, it's all on the table. We could get anyone. We can get playable Axel. Playable, we didn't get to play as him in Remind. We get playable Axel. You know what I'm saying? All on the table now. Playable Birth by... Oh, who knows? Who knows? And again, the sorts of giving all these characters playable movesets. Imagine a boss battle mode where you can make your team of 3. Or a boss battle mode where you can choose who you want your primary fighter to be. Okay, this is what I was talking about when I said KH3 was a foundation. KH3 was the foundation the rest of the house is going to sit on. Okay? The playable Riku, the playable Kyrie, the playable Aqua. You didn't think they were really going to give all that up, would you? Come on now. Playable All right, we got a $2 super chat from the artist Joint. It says playable Master of Masters or playable Darkness. It's all on the table. It's all on the table. Okay, and again, we talked about how, again, right? Characters like Riku, Aqua, Kyrie, they already had movesets built for them in KH3. In my opinion, they were a given to have playable segments in KH4. But now that we see Donald and Goofy and King Mickey, dude, who else? Like I said, we know we're in a party with Strelitzia and Sigurd. Could be one of them. You know what I'm saying? Could get it. Hey, what's going on, Good Witch Luz? It's good to see you. Based, they made Remind so they could reuse the models. It is the foundation from which the rest will sit upon. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Let's keep this going a little bit. Let's keep this going a little bit, right? Kyrie's gameplay is top 3. 100%. I enjoyed Kyrie's moveset more than Riku's. Not even close. I enjoyed Kyrie's moveset more than Aqua's. Not even close. Can't top Sora, for being real. But Kyrie's moveset in KH3 was built with more depth than Aqua and Riku's. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Keep this rolling. And then playable. And something to consider. Something to consider, guys. Check it out. And this is what I mean where I'm like, these are full-blown movesets. All right? Donald has a different command menu. Attack, magic, item, style. And Goofy, attack, skills, items, combat style. Which is crazy. Crazy. They are switchable. Yeah, let's talk about that too. Let's talk about that too. And see if I can get that freeze frame at the end. Okay. Can we also talk about, okay, perhaps the largest gameplay implication from the entire weekend? If you notice the subtlety, they didn't show you the exact mechanic, but guys, here we are. It's the same sequence. It's the same sequence, but here we are playing as Donald, and here we are playing as Goofy. It's the same sequence, still wave 1 of 3. So what does that tell you? That this isn't like Remind where it's pick your fighter who you want to play as in this fight. In fights like this, you'll be able to rotate your fighter. We're going to combine the Kingdom Hearts gameplay with the party switching mechanic of FF7 Remake. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking at a game where, depending on who your party is, you'll be able to rotate between them. And then when Sora, Donald, and Goofy do finally reunite at some point in this game, all three of them, you'll be able to switch between the party members. You'll be able to switch between the party members. Nomura, I love it because Nomura said, Donald doesn't heal you enough? Fine. Now it's your responsibility. Now it's your responsibility. You don't think Donald heals you enough? Fine. Now you are Donald. Love it. So, to me, this is the craziest implication of the entire weekend when it comes to gameplay. That they're introducing a mechanic where you can swap between your fighters. Now, I don't think you'll be able to swap between your Disney teammates, right? When you have like Hector and Miguel in your party, I don't think you'll be able to rotate between them. But I think when you have a Donald and a Goofy, I think when you have a Riku or a Kairi, I think when you have characters depending on their level of importance or characters who have full movesets, they're going to let you rotate between them. They're going to let you rotate between them. Now, before I say that for 100% certain, I would like to see evidence of that outside of this one sequence, because there is always the chance that party rotation is just exclusive to this Donald and Goofy sequence, but I'm willing to bet it won't be. I'm willing to bet it won't be. Now, let's keep it rolling. All right? Let's keep it rolling.
What?
We discussed this.
Is something wrong?
What can you see? Sora! Hey! Whoa, whoa.
And now this is crazy too. So what this tells me is that Donald and Goofy for a while are going to be like one step behind Sora. Almost kind of like how Birth by Sleep rolled out. So that we might be, again, this is evidence of one of two things, I think. Either Donald and Goofy reunite very early in this like first world, or drop sound. I got you. I'll drop the trailer sound. Either Donald and Goofy are going to reunite with Sora very early in this first world, or you're going to visit the worlds one time as Sora and a second time as Donald and Goofy. So that's what I think we may be seeing here, knowing that they're going to be going to the Coco world probably right around the same time we are. Oop, let me put my headphones back on. First part of that trailer made me very anxious. Yeah, Laurel, I'm with you. If we get a segment where Mickey, Donald, and Goofy can all be one party that we can rotate between, I would love that. Do you think Hades sent them to the Coco world? Absolutely. Absolutely. No DDD, drop sound dog. What's going on? Is there sound? You hear the sound of Sora dropping like in Dream Drop. Oh, yes. We discussed that on the last episode, that I think you might have. But you know what's different now? Yeah. Oh, whoa, hold on. I can't lose this. 1 second. That's such an important... I can't lose that. All right, good. Let's keep it going. But, okay, going off your question, Laren Walker. Yes, I believe Hades sent them here. Because we learned, right, that the Underworld has connections to Final World. I'm willing to bet that all the world's underworlds might still be connected. Right? All the worlds up on the surface have been disconnected. But it seems like the Underworld has access to other afterlives type worlds. That's why it can sort of interface with unreality, because it's an afterlife. That's why it can interface with the Coco world, because this is an afterlife. So I'm willing to bet that Hades absolutely sent them from the Underworld to this part of Coco world. Okay. Okay, let's keep this going. Got to get these trolls out of here. Yeah, they show up. Loro is a mod, I believe. So, Loro, you ban who you need to ban, my friend. You lay down that ban hammer as hard as you like. No need to hold back. Okay? Bring down the hammer of Thor on thy trolls. Okay, and then there's this. Let's just dial it back. Let's just dial it back. And you know what? I got to do a little bit of chat work here. Here's what we're going to do. Nice and easy, right? Somebody wants to play a stupid game. We take them off the screen. And then I will see to it that they are banned forever. Good. Attaboy, Loro. Taking care of business. Okay, hide the user on the channel. Like I said, don't hesitate, Loro. Anybody who drops that kind of stuff, you ban them forever. Weirdo alert. I'll tell you. Listen, man, if you got trolls in your chat, it just means things are going well for you. All right. Grim Slime, first-time chatter on Twitch, says something that could be interesting is if Sora, Riku, Mickey, and either Aqua or Terra were separately playable leading individual teams. That's like my dream Kingdom Hearts game, dude. That's like my dream Kingdom Hearts game. Ooh. 1 second. We got to fix the special message now. Shouldn't be a problem. Pull this guy over here. Pull this guy over here. We support Loro here. We absolutely do. And let's dial it down. I'll give them credit, though. Like, inserting the blocked words upside down. Gotta give them points for creativity. You know? No, big win for Loro. No, Lands is here to take out Liam. Loro's here to take out everybody else. Okay, let's get our momentum back. Okay, what if Sora drops into Coco World just like Miguel did? That could be interesting. It's interesting to think about how Sora is gonna go from world to world. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. All right, let's keep this going. Let me put the last super chat back up. And let's roll it, baby. All right, I gotta try and get as good a look at Nort as we can. Okay, that's gonna be our best shot. God damn it! Sorry, like that is funny in slow motion. Let's run that back. Hold on. There's our guy, man. Has he ever looked better? Has he ever looked better? Clever little sneak. So let's talk about this. So look, we've talked about Xehanort ad nauseum. We've done like in the last month, like 3 Xehanort episodes. So let's check this. All right, let's put the sound back to normal. And let's talk about the implication of this. Okay, pause. So we all know this is Lushu. We all know this is Xigbar. But we have 2 very big questions we need to ask, okay? 2 very big questions we need to ask. 1. Maybe even 3 questions. 1. How did Lushu get here? What's he doing here? Shouldn't he be on the Kingdom Hearts side of reality with the foretellers? Can't hear it? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. But we got it up now. But shouldn't he be on the Kingdom Hearts side of reality with the foretellers? The question is not only what is he doing here? The question is, how did he get here? Can Lushu seamlessly travel between worlds? What's going on there? The video's muted. I got it unmuted. I appreciate that. I gotta lower the latency between the stream and YouTube. But let's keep this going. I feel like the KH3 secret ending takes place after KH4. The Nobody, you might be onto something. You very well might be onto something. I don't know, though, because the box appears after the Keyblade War. That would be a really long gap between the end of the Keyblade War and the box appearing. So it's a good idea and a good theory, but I think that it may be more of a direct sequence than we realized. But again, what is Lucio doing here? How did he get here? Okay? Through the astral plane. I mean, Sean, you're right. You're right, Sean. That's got to be it. But we only know that that's possible between Scala and Quadratum. Can the astral plane be accessed from, like, the Keyblade graveyard? We still need precedent for that. But again, Lucio's here. And he's made contact with young Xehanort. Now, we've talked about why is his eye still yellow. It could be because he has a true darkness in him. It could be because he's still half Xehanort. There's a lot of that. Seeing him so quickly be sure to link back up with Xehanort. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me because Lucio has always kept Xehanort close. Right? When you look at Dream Drop Distance and that secret cutscene, when you think, oh, that Xehanort scares me like nobody's business. You know, he was being a little bit coy when he said that, but I do think he means it. I do think Lucio, might be more afraid of Xehanort than he even is the Master of Masters. Because again, what is Lucio doing here? How did he get here? And why is he seeking out Xehanort? And lastly, as Deza just pointed, as Lunar Lux just pointed out, why hide your appearance? What's hiding underneath that hood? Is he going to look like Yozora? Is he going to look like Brain? Is he going to look like Xigbar? Who's he hiding from? But you know what this tells me, guys? You know what this tells me? I'll tell you what this tells me. Let's pull it up. I think that was Lucio all along. I think right there, that was Lucio all along. We are asking ourselves, who else is with the Master? Who's standing next to the Master? And now that we know Lucio is here, I'm willing to bet that's him. Just a guess. Just a guess, based on what we're seeing here. But getting back to it, you know, we could think of a million reasons why he's here, how he got here. But I really think, and we'll talk about it more, especially when Kyrie comes up, but I really think the biggest question is, what's under that hood? And again, he could be trying to hide out from other people. Like, there could be a very good reason. He could still look like Xigbar under there. And there could be a reason, you know, why he's hiding his appearance. He could be hiding from Sigurd. He may not want Sigurd to see him. He may not want Ava to see him. May not want Brain to see him, right? He might be hiding his appearance not because because you know what? He still has the Xigbar voice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's going to look like somebody else under that hood and still have the Xigbar voice, right? Because Lucio's voice from back cover and Xigbar's voice or Braig's voice are two very different voices, right? That voice box belongs to Braig. It doesn't belong to Lucio. So when he's still using that voice and still sounds like that, I'm willing to bet that he is still Xigbar under that hood. But the reason for concealing himself is because he's hiding from Ava, hiding from Sigurd. I mean, guys, I could be wrong about who that is, and he could be hiding from the Master of Masters. Who knows? Who knows? Laurel Bluebell says, anything else contradicts KH3 secret reports. Xigbar is 100% confirmed, his last vessel. So there you have it. There you have it. He's hiding. He could be hiding from Luxord. Hold on. Mega Blazemon here says, I still think Lucio is the Master of Masters. We think Master of Masters is Light, Lux. And we have a character named Lucio with Lux at the front. Luxord also has a connection to Light with the Lux. I think Master of Masters is just future Lucio completing a time paradox, giving info to his younger self. I love that. We talked about on the episode we did yesterday that I've always conceptualized that Lucio might just be like a larva state of the Master of Masters, and we're watching Lucio essentially grow into that figure. So I'm picking up what you're putting down there, Mega Blaze. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But again, who is he hiding from? I think him doing this with his hood is more about him hiding out from somebody. Could be Luke Sword, right? Because Luke Sword has his eyes on Luciu. Luke Sword, in a sense, has Luciu figured out in a way that others don't. So Luciu might be being just a little bit more careful, like, hey, this Luke Sword guy is on my tail, and here in Quadratum, this is his turf. So I gotta be careful. Lunarluck says maybe they're hiding their faces because they got to Quadratum by not dying like everybody else. Explains Ava being hooded too. They need protection because they don't belong. Well, notice, right? You notice that both Ava and Luciu are wearing the coats that protect them from darkness, and they haven't taken them off yet, right? The other foretellers are in their robes, which that's the master's plan, right? You got to think about it. Think about, whoa. Think about it like this. Think about it like this. And let's pull up Ava front and center here. Let's think about it like this, chat. Let's think about it like this. And you know what? We can be a little bit fancy schmancy with our editing here. Okay? Let's think about it like this. Let's think about it like this. All right? Let's put homeboy over here. Ava, my girl, let's move you over here. All right. Guys, hang with me. Hang with me. I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick, refill my waters, and we're going to go in on this. We're going to go in on this because there's something happening here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not letting that go. But don't go anywhere. Good time to grab a snack, go to the bathroom, refill your water, stay hydrated. We're going to be right back. We're going to zero in on this. I got something for y'all. Talk to y'all soon. Be back in like 2-3 minutes. Not 2-3. All right, I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. Okay? Let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about this. Probably should have done my swig before I unmuted, but still. Let's talk about this. Okay? What's up, the Firefox Creeper? Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about this, okay? Because this is no coincidence. This is no coincidence, all right? Here we have Ava and Lushu, both wearing these coats that protect you from darkness. However, when we looked at their fellow foretellers, that being Ased, Ira, Envy, and Gula, the last time we saw them, all of them were not in their organization robes. Or they didn't have organization robes. But all of them were in their foreteller outfits. They weren't wearing these darkness robes yet. However, outside of those four, here we have Lushu and Ava who are wearing it. So the question becomes, why are the two of them wearing this when the others aren't? What thread connects Lushu and Ava that the other foretellers aren't connected by? And I'll tell you it in plain English here. The truth is, they're the only ones who know the Master of Masters' intentions. They're the only ones among the six who know what the Master of Masters is up to and knows what his plan is. And if you recall the end of Union Cross, the Master of Masters pointed out that all the foretellers will be vessels for primordial darkness, true darkness. Now, if you know that that's what the Master has in store for you, and you plan to not go along with it, wouldn't you maybe wear some fabric that protects you from darkness itself? So the two of them know what the Master's up to. Therefore, the two of them are both going to wear the coat that protects them from darkness? How very interesting. What are the odds something like that is a coincidence? And again, we're left at the question that is, are Ava and Lushu at odds, or did they strike a deal at the end of their battle? Because we don't know how their battle ends. We know that they clashed, and their clash started the Keyblade War. Now, I'm willing to bet they are part of separate factions. That's going to be my guess. But we can't rule out the idea that they might be working together, especially when you consider that Lushu and Brain clearly struck a deal where they work together. So there is always the chance that through that proxy, Ava and Lushu find a way to work together too. Ayo, shout out to Dilly Dilly! Throwing a gifted sub over on Twitch to Bird Person. Thank you so much, Dilly Dilly. Very much appreciated. But getting back to that, they're the two who know the Master's plan, and we know Lushu is the traitor, and many have positioned that maybe Ava's in a position to betray the Master too. I mean, she did fulfill her role, but we'll see. We'll see. Keeping that in mind, though, whether they're working together or whether they're at odds, the truth is, I don't think either one of them is in alignment with what the Master of Masters wants. That's what I think we can conclude here, right? Even if that really is Lushu standing beside the Master of Masters on the cliff, I really believe that both Ava and Lushu want to work against the Master, because here's the thing, guys. The one who bears the sigil is the traitor. But the truth is, everyone who wears this coat at some point is a traitor. Save for maybe Riku. But even Riku betrayed the Destiny Trio, right? Before wearing that coat. But consider that all of the organization ended up being traitors. Every single one of them betrayed somewhere along the way. So when I see the two of them wearing this coat, I see them essentially both working against the Master's interests, whether they're united or whether they're part of two separate factions. I believe that they're deviants or deviating from what the Master is planning, as opposed to the other foretellers who aren't in the know and aren't wearing these robes to protect themselves. So again, and like Aces is saying, it's possible you have the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? who knows, at the end of Ava and Lushu's clash, they both might have concluded, like, look, hey, I don't want to do what the master says either. We can work with each other. Deza says Riku betrayed himself when he transformed to beat Roxas. Yes. Yes. Great observation. That yes, Riku betrayed himself. Like the organization coat is a sign of a traitor. You know what I mean? Like when Master Xehanort was wearing that coat in front of the Master of Masters, he wore it and you could tell there was a part of him that was deviating from the Master, that would work against the Master, right? Plan for every eventuality, which includes the eventuality where the Master is his enemy, right? He didn't have that trust. He wore that coat too. Just something to think about. Okay. All right, let's keep this rolling, ladies and gentlemen. If he's here, then is he the reason the Master of Masters made it to Quadratum? He could be. He could be what connected the Master to Quadratum. The Master could be the reason that Lushu was in Quadratum. We don't know. We don't know. The other four are basically zealots to the Master. Yeah, I really believe so, especially Envy. I think Envy especially. But I anticipate those four will stay committed. They will be their own faction. You know, Lushu will have his faction. Ava will have hers. And I think there's another one brewing with Luke Sword, Yuzora, whatever's going on there. And we'll get into it. But again, that's just my take on this. We can come back to this. I'm trying to think if I got everything down about these two before we move forward. But again, you even see, actually, let's talk about that. Lushu making contact with young Xehanort. What's the angle there, right? And this is kind of what we were talking about, right? Remember what we were talking about like a month ago on those episodes? The 7 crowns? And how Xehanort might be one of those crowns? That could be what Lushu is doing here. Is keeping an eye on Xehanort because he's one of the crowns. Because he does have the royalty imagery that we see associated with him. So again, just to round this out before I move the trailer forward, the two of them are very clearly protecting themselves from the Master and from the Master's plan. Mako Sebrok says, where is Ericus? We haven't seen him yet, but with all the Dark Road love we're getting, I'm willing to bet that we're going to see Ericus in Quadratum. I am really starting to feel like that's a shot. We have a real shot at that. Okay. Got that fixed. Get that fixed. Okay. Let's roll it, baby. Let's see how much trailer we got left. We're an hour and a half in. We got 30 seconds left. Okay. But how, in fact, did Xehanort make it to Quadratum? Kid Q, because he took the forbidden path. He abused the power of waking too. So I think that might be how he either learned about it or how he got there. Remember in Dark Road, him talking about his 14th life to explore the new world. He had an awareness about it. And I guess created a failsafe that would allow him to interact should that eventuality come to pass. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. Dial it back. Dial it back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just going off of a segment that we did earlier. These guys are straight out of Versus 13. The Crown's Guard, as Laura Bluebell says, straight out of the FF15 movie. What was it called? King Slave, right? This is straight out of FF15 Versus 13. This is Crown's Guard, straight out of Fabula Nova Crystallis. Straight out of Fabula Nova Crystallis. Born of Kokiri says, Landy, tell me this. The guards with the spears in the shot. Is it me or do they look a lot like Nibelheim guards? They do look like Nibelheim guards, but what they resemble even more is the Crown's Guard, right? Something that we saw in Versus 13, FF15. Again, the Versus 13 of it all continues to populate, continues to show itself. So again, as Reign 13 is saying, the Phoenix faction. And guys, we're not just mincing words here. Like, these are, as Laurel Bluebell pointed out on Twitch, these are the exact same models. It's not that they just look alike. This is quite literally them. Like, quite literally them. So let's keep this rolling. The weapons they're wielding can be seen in the old trailers too. Exactly. This is what I mean. It's not just overlap. This is straight out of Versus 13. Straight out of it. Let's keep it going. Now, can we talk about Sigurd for a second? All right. All right. Check it out, guys. I might be falling for it. But I actually watched one of my old videos today. I made a video about 4.5 years ago talking about Sigurd and talking about the mythological root of the name Sigurd and of the ancient Norse mythology hero known as Sigurd. There's a lot of German traditional hero stories too that involve Sigurd, but I think he goes by Siegfried in the German myth. Point being, the myth of Sigurd, it's a great video worth watching. But to sum it up, like, to sum up who Sigurd is in mythology, he truly is like the perfect hero, right? He's not only strong and courageous, but he's handsome and he's charming. Like, Siegfried is seen as like the perfect traditional hero. But Sigurd meets his demise when he's betrayed. And that's me just putting it very broadly, right? There's a lot of different takes on the myth and there's a lot of different outcomes, but roughly speaking, the thread that unites all the Sigurd and Siegfried myths is that he truly is like this chosen, like perfect hero. Again, big, strong, tall, handsome, charming, but ultimately meets his end through betrayal. And he himself can be seen as a traitor. So it's just something to keep in mind with Sigurd. And I know there's been, a lot of people, they look at the character and some have thought that he could end up the final boss of Kingdom Hearts 4 or that he could end up a villain. I'm actually, and maybe it's because I watched the video earlier today, I'm actually starting to think otherwise. I think Sigurd will be a tragic hero. I don't think he's going to be our final boss. I don't think he's going to be some evil person. I think it's possible Sigurd betrays us, but that he believes his betrayal is morally the right thing to do, or that he's essentially taking a bargain where he'll betray us, but he believes he's doing some greater good. Not saying that justifies his actions, just simply talking about how this could play out. But again, if we look at the mythological root, that he is this chosen hero who ends up betrayed, I think Sigurd more likely ends up a tragic hero in this story. I don't think he'll necessarily be a villain. I don't think he'll necessarily be an unquestionably moral hero. But I think he will be a tragic hero in this story because that would line up with his myth. Now, the Norse myth isn't followed to a T by Kingdom Hearts. We saw a lot of deviations in Dark Road despite the inspiration from Norse myth. But, and hold on, actually, that's right. Hold on. There's something else worth mentioning. That I'm forgetting. One second. Okay. Hang with me. One second. Stay with me, chat. Stay with me. That's the other thing. I'm glad I fact-checked myself. In Norse mythology, Sigurd is a direct descendant of Odin. Sigurd is a direct descendant of Odin. So if we're wondering where his orders may be coming from or who he may be answering to, I'm actually starting to think it's Odin. And that maybe Sigurd is being misled by Odin. Or maybe Sigurd intends to mislead Odin. But I do want to say that when we're talking about Sigurd and the future of this character, I don't think there's any separating him from Odin in that way. They're too directly linked. And for them to have shown up around the same time, End Union Cross, Start of Dark Road, is just too much of a coincidence for me to let go of. And again, the reason why I've sort of changed my tune on Sigurd, and I don't think he'll necessarily be evil or antagonistic, is because, like, he does look genuinely concerned here. You know, I don't see a guy that's like just using Sora and Strelitzia for his own goals. Like, I feel like I'm looking at a guy who genuinely cares about his allies, you know, and is genuinely shaken up by the kind of danger that they're in. You know, let's dial it back a little bit, right? Like, and like you know, like the emotions are almost a little too authentic for a guy who might just be playing a part or playing a role. He said, look, Demix's Lord says he's faking it. He could be. He could be. I guess what I'm saying is I'm either starting to be misled by him, or he may not be as untrustworthy as we think. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. But keep that in mind, right? With the sort of ravens, right? That could be what's frightening him, right? Because he's looking, and again, knowing he's a direct descendant of Odin in mythology and how that might be linked, he could be looking at these raven heartless, and because he just has a little more context than everybody else, he's like, whoa, those are Odin's ravens. Like, he might be the guy with the context that nobody else has, because everyone else is like scared of those ravens, but like they made a point to show like that, like you said, he could be faking it, but I don't know. I think that's too genuine of a reaction. I think that's too genuine of a reaction. I could be wrong. But we'll see. Steph Meister Slam. I was saying Steph My Sister Slam before, but now I see it's Steph Meister Slam. Says, I think Odin is related to Yen Sid retiring. I would love that. I want my explanation for why Yen Sid hung it up, okay? I want my explanation. Okay, let's keep this going. Oh, and maybe one last thing, and you guys can take this any direction you want, but shout out to Andy Brew, who discussed this on his podcast episode. He's of the belief that Sigurd and Brain sure do look a lot alike, don't they? So take that for what you will. We'll revisit it at another time. Let's keep running. We're almost at the end. Oh, let's get the sound back on. And let me unmute the sound on your guys' end. And then it happens. Right outside of the Yummy Tummy on 5th Street. He's back. Hell yeah, dude. I love this. I love that this is how the trailer ended. And let me say this. I've got my notes on Riku and Kairi. I think we're maybe going to start going in on Kairi first. God, I didn't think it was going to take me 2 hours to reach this point, but here we are. We'll start on Kairi first, but boy, oh boy, let's talk about what simply Riku appearing in this frame, all the things it changes, or confirms, or debunks, given our understanding of Kingdom Hearts and where it is. Another little swig, and then we'll let it go. Alrighty. Let's talk about it. So, Riku appears. This clearly comes straight off the back of Melody and Memory. I'm willing to bet he directly moves from the final world to this moment. But for a long time, myself, you guys in the chat, other creators have wondered if we're going to have a situation where Sora is in one quadratum and Riku is in another. Like a real quadratum and a dream quadratum. And that the two would be separated once more, and we might have a Dream Drop Distance 2 scenario playing out. Brought that up on last night's episode. We can see now, with Riku appearing here, that theory no longer applies. Riku made it to the same quadratum that Sora is in. And I'm willing to bet this is in the very beginning of the game. Right? It's not as if this appears as though we're in the end game and Riku, after spending the whole time in Dream Quadratum, bursts through and makes it through to the surface reality. I don't think that's what happened here. I think this is still within that opening sequence in Quadratum, and Riku appears, probably signifying the end of the tutorial phase or the end of the opening act. So, again, the Riku and Dream Quadratum, pack it up. That's not what's happening here. And I think that opens a bunch of new possibilities when we realize that now, from at least from the end of Act 1, Sora and Riku are going to be together. But Sora and Riku are going to be together in KH4, again, pretty much from the end of Act 1, it seems. Where do they take that? Do they travel together? Do they go to separate worlds and, like, reconvene at a headquarter location? Where does this go? Do they team up? Are we now playing a game where we're in a party with Riku the whole time and we can switch between Sora and Riku? Or will there be something that separates them? Another point. And you know what? Let me humble myself a little bit. Let me actually humble myself a little bit. What if this is only a temporary appearance? What if Riku was simply summoned, he can only stay summoned for a certain amount of time, and then he gets warped back to where he came from? There is the opportunity for that as well. So I actually don't want to go too far out in front and say it debunks the Dream Quadratum angle. I think it pulls it down from its likelihood, but let's also consider that maybe Riku was summoned and this summon is temporary. Because again, don't get me wrong, I would love the game where Sora and Riku are together and I can switch between them in the party. But that almost seems too good to be true. I'm wondering if there might be something that wedges between Sora and Riku. But allow me to say something else, right? Allow me to say something else that we have to consider, that we haven't been considering when it comes to this situation. If Sora lost his memories, does he know who this is? You know what I'm saying? Let me hold on a second. Let me just double check. Does Sora call out his name in this trailer at any point? Let me just double check. No. Okay, so Sora does not call out to him. So there's a chance, actually. There's a chance. Oh, man, wouldn't this be great for, like, the themes of friendship, right? That when Sora bumps into Riku here, he's not going to remember him. And maybe they almost kind of have to become friends all over again. Because again, if this is a Sora that doesn't have his memories, right? When he looked at Donald and Goofy, he fainted from sensory overload. This is how they stay separate. This is how they get separated. I've got it. So just like when Sora saw Donald and Goofy, it led to him like fainting and getting overloaded. I feel like the same thing is going to happen when he sees Riku. He'll see Riku and he'll probably have a similar sensory overload about his memories, right? Unless this is a point in the story where some of Sora's memories have been restored and he doesn't know who Riku is. But it is possible this jogs up his memory that he passes out again like he did with Donald and Goofy. So this might be how they stay separated, right? Is Riku appears to save Sigurd and Strelitzia, and Sora sees him, has the sensory overload, passes out. You play as Riku, you finish the fight. Sora gets brought back to his apartment, he's passed out and asleep, and while he's sleeping and passed out from that overload, Riku goes to one of the Disney worlds. And then you can almost have this back and forth where Sora and Riku are never catching each other, right? Riku's out at this world, Sora's here passed out. Then Sora goes out to a world and Riku comes back to Quadratum. They can keep missing each other, okay? Demix's Lord has a cool idea here, says he only sees Riku as a projection. Riku isn't really there. Yeah, it could be similar to what we saw Sora do with Kairi at the end of Melody of Memory. We could always consider that it could be something like that. And yo, shout out to Ruda Chris. Dropping back in here with another $5. Says, speaking of dreams and how Sora travels to Disney Worlds, how does Yozora exit the final world? He wakes up. I think Sora falls asleep to travel. That is a really good idea. So it's possible that when Sora has the sensory overload, like he sees Donald and Goofy, he passes out. But that might be when he goes to Coco. Then Riku appears. He sees him, passes out. That might be when he goes to another world. Like that, there is the chance that that might be how the travel happens, right? Because we haven't seen any sort of gummy ship or any other method of travel to these worlds. Hey, yo, shout out the artist Joint dropping in here with a $5. Don't know why it's not coming up on that side. There it is. Okay. Says, what if when Sora gets his memories back, he also remembers Chain of Memories? Oh, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. That maybe a memory restoration wouldn't really discriminate. That could be really cool. But getting back to Riku, just for a moment here, and Sora maybe not recognizing him, we now see how that might happen where the two of them never catch each other and they're always separated. Using the astral plane to travel through sleep, it could be that Gollum Baggins. We have to see it play out. And hold on, we got a chat over on Twitch. Grim Slime says, I think Quadratum will be a hub world with multiple visits like Traverse Town and Hollow Bastion. We might get a new multiple visit setup like KH2. I hope we do. I hope we do. I think the revisiting the Disney worlds with new abilities and new platforming abilities makes for a very interesting kind of gameplay progression. But going back to Riku again, this really took me. I did not see this coming. I had a feeling Riku was going to appear in this trailer. I just didn't think he would be on this side of reality so quickly. So it does change quite a bit of that. Now let me see here. Okay. All right. I have more Riku theories, but I actually think they might be best to visit after I flesh out a Xehanort idea I have and a Kairi idea. We're going to move on to Kairi in just a second. But first, we're going to go back to the last trailer. We're going to go back to the last trailer just for a minute. Okay? Okay. Something else to consider. So we did a lot of episodes on Xehanort, like we do. Okay, we're the Xehanort Lodge. You know, every few weeks we go full-blown, we get full-blown Norded. Okay? But there was one idea among Sora and Xehanort's encounter here that we didn't discuss that I think now with the context of the new trailer changes this interaction quite a bit. So check this out. Now that we know that in all likelihood, Sora doesn't have his memories, that means when he sees young Xehanort here, he's not going to know who he's looking at. Right? If Sora doesn't have his memories, then when he sees young Xehanort, he's not going to look at the villain from the last saga. He's going to go, who are you? And the question now becomes, what sort of memories does Xehanort have? Does Xehanort have memories of the whole Dark Seeker saga? Or is he too operating without memory? We don't know. But we have to consider now that if Sora doesn't have his memories, he won't know who he's looking at when he sees Xehanort here. Which I think can lead to a lot of fun scenarios between the two. So imagine a world where Sora and Xehanort start working together, right? And I love when stories do this right away, when like the present honesty is muddled by a past dishonesty. And this is kind of what I mean, right? So imagine a scenario where Sora and Xehanort have to work together, and Sora chooses to be very trusting of Xehanort. Again, regardless if this is a Xehanort with memories or not, it'll still apply. So the two of them start working together, and the two of them start teaming up. But then little by little, Sora gets his memories restored. And so this is a Sora who put his trust in Xehanort. But then his memories start to get restored. And he's like, wait a minute. You're the whole reason I'm in this mess. Wait, I've been trusting you this whole time, and you're the one who put me here? You're the reason I'm separated from Kairi? You killed Kairi? You son, like, can you imagine? And imagine that's when Sora's darkness starts to take control, right? the irony, or the poetic irony, that could be when Sora maybe loses control of a little darkness, is when he remembers Xehanort. That by remembering Xehanort, he's going to get angry because he's going to go, I trusted you. I've been working with you. And you're the reason I'm here. You're the reason I had to sacrifice myself to save Kairi. And you came here to have me trust you and work with you. Oh, dude, it could be so radioactive, bro. It could be so, like, explosive. Right? Because this is a Sora who doesn't have his memories. He's hurting to forget. He doesn't know who he can trust. He's away from home. He's away from his friends. And then this guy, the guy responsible for all this shit, has the audacity to try and team up with him? Dude, I'm just saying, if we're right on the money and Sora doesn't have his memories, and before he gets his memories back, he's got to work with Xehanort, and then he's going to get his memories back as he's working with Xehanort? Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Sean Tansey says that would be his test of darkness, and Master of Masters would be observing to see if Sora will give in to decide if he should destroy Quadratum. Yeah, it could be, in a sense, a test the Master is putting Sora through. Or if it's not even a test he's putting him through, it could be something he's closely observing to see if Sora is worthy of something, or if Sora is the right vessel for something that he wants to do. But legit, this is one of the things, it's why I was always so excited about the notion of Sora and Xehanort clashing again in Quadratum, is because there is so much opportunity between these two characters, whether they have their memories or not, to have some of the most electric interactions we've ever seen in the series. The last saga's main villain and the last saga's main hero having to team up because they have a united goal. There is something about that is just, like I said, electric. Skazfish says, wait, that's what Xehanort has been experimenting on the whole time? What do you mean, Skazfish? Getting his own memories back. Interesting. Trying to look into Subject X because, again, he wanted to see his mother again. And if Subject X really is Skuld, he would see, by looking into Skuld's heart, that she was either related to his mother, or she was, in some way, again, her heart related to his mother. That might be why he was so fixated on Subject X, because he could feel there was some kind of thread tying her back to his mom, which he vocalized as a kid, wanting to see again. So that is something. That is something, is that maybe Xehanort, in a lot of ways, has been chasing his own memories this whole time. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. Crazy stuff. Okay. And Demix's Lord is saying, if Sora really is Player's third life, Xehanort is protecting his caretaker. He would know if it was truly him. Yeah. That adds a whole new context to this image, right? If Sora really is the player's third life, then this image just got electric. All right. Let's now, finally, after 2 hours of breaking it down, get to the final part of this trailer. Let it roll. Let it roll. Not to be a wet blanket, but when was it confirmed that Sora lost his memories? All right, we're going to do a small detour because it's a good question, and I really like Ludacris. You know, you're a good fella. So we're going to explain it. So think about it like this. Sora is looking at Donald and Goofy and is completely dumbfounded. This shouldn't be his reaction when looking at Donald and Goofy. His reaction should be immense joy. Donald! Goofy! Like, that's how Sora is. We've seen it. Even when he sees just like a projection of someone, he gets excited. He gets happy. It's how he is. He has a big heart, right? So his reaction to seeing Donald and Goofy should be, Donald! Goofy! But he doesn't call out to them. Just by looking at them,
Sora.
projections of them,
What can you see? Sora!
it causes him to pass out. And he had a confused expression. right? It's not how a Sora with his memories would react to seeing Donald and Goofy. He didn't call out to their names. He didn't smile. He didn't get excited. He looked almost like scared, confused, and then he passes out. And again, Nomura and Nojima do have a character trope that when a character is struggling with memories, when they get overloaded, they pass out. Cloud Strife, prime example. Sora, another example. Okay. So, took that little detour. Let's go to the end of the trailer. And I'm going to ask everyone to pay close attention to the dialogue. Oh, they cut it. They cut it. All right, that's fine. That's fine. That's why I have the trailer that we can just play here, right? All right, listen for it. Listen for it. Wait, does this not have it either? No. Kyrie's at the end of that trailer. Kyrie's at the end of that trailer. If I got to hunt down the exact one, I will. You got to go with the KH channel upload. Gotcha. There it is. Okay, we got it. We got it. We're here. We're here. We'll pull it up. Okay. Perfect. Oh, it's already up. Oh, wait. No. Now it's up. Okay. Okay. Now look. That's either Kyrie or Naminé. They've got the same voice actor. So, no sound? Okay. My bad. My bad. Let me run it back. Let's run it back. Let's run it back.
Sora, wake up and see.
Okay. So again, it's either Kyrie or Naminé. And I don't think we should rule out Naminé. I don't think we should rule out Naminé. Because again, as we've discussed, and I guess we can put the trailer back up. As we've discussed, Naminé is going to be very important to the saga. With everything going on with memories, Ventus needs his memories restored, Sora needs his memories restored. With memory restoration, we can't... Oh my god, sorry. I know it's loud. I know it's loud. I fixed it. Sorry. Fixed it. There we go. My bad. So again, with Naminé, we can't rule her out. Okay, Laurel Bluebell on Twitch says, it is 100% Kyrie. I double-checked the Japanese voice actor. They don't have the same voice actor in Japanese. Ah, okay, so it's Kyrie. It is 100% Kyrie. I'm very happy to hear that. I am very happy to hear that. What's up, Treehouse? I see you, dog. I see you, big dog. So we 100% know it's Kyrie, right? We can confirm with the Japanese voice actor. Kyrie and Shion have the same voice actor. Naminé is different. Thank you. Okay, I got that mixed up. So no way that's Shion. No way that's Shion. Let's just be clear about that. No way that's Shion. I love Shion, but I really don't think she has much of a place in the next saga. I have a theory that, you know, the lore attached to Shion will be very important, but not Shion herself. Now, let's talk about Kyrie. Because again, that was Kyrie at the end of the trailer. So all the Kyrie Doom posters are not worth your time. Okay? It was Riku's turn to be shown. Riku's turn to be in the spotlight. He took a backseat to Kyrie in the second half of KH4, in Remind, in Melody of Memory. Now, okay, let Riku have his moment in the spotlight. But the fact that Riku appears, and then right after Riku appears, we go into Kyrie's voice line, tells you, symbolically, in my opinion, we'll see. If I'm wrong, but I'm going to be right. I often am. That Kyrie is right behind Riku. Riku will arrive first. Kyrie is on deck. That's what that's meant to show you. But, and I really want to talk about this today, right? Okay, I really want to talk about this today. With Kyrie being that voice at the end. Don't listen to the Doom posters, okay? They're setting her up. She will be in the next trailer, and if not the next trailer, probably the one after that. Depends on the nature of the trailer. But I don't know how anybody can hear Kyrie's voice at the end there and be Doom posting. I don't know how anybody can get that little teaser from Kyrie at the end and think this means she's not going to be important or that she was left out or whatever. Let's consider something. Kyrie is saying, Sora, wake up and see. Okay, 1 second. Where's my mouse at? Right here? So, let's just take that line just as it is and talk about how that could be applied. What if Kyrie is the one to wake Sora up? Sora's sleeping here. I believe they mentioned that he arrived 7 days earlier. I think Strelitzia says that in the trailer. And he'd been asleep for 7 days. What if Kyrie was the one that woke him up? Now, consider this. Kyrie's voice could reach him. And it's so funny, right? It's so funny because we talked about this a month ago on a podcast, that this is part of Kyrie's Princess of Heart powers. Her powers of communication transcend realities. That's why in KH2, her message in a bottle went from Destiny Islands to the Realm of Darkness and rescued both Sora and Kyrie. Kyrie has a way of reaching Sora when nobody else can. When Sora, let's also talk about the precedent for this. And this is what I mean. This one line from Kyrie opens up a whole world, okay, of opportunity and implications. She woke up Sora in KH1. Exactly. Even in a non-existential way. Sora's just sleeping on the beach. Kyrie wakes him up. Sora, you lazy bum. Kyrie wakes him up. At the end of Chain of Memories, when Sora is sleeping and restoring his memories, who has a way of interfacing with Sora? Who has a way of interfacing with Roxas through that? Kyrie. She's always had these transcendental communication powers through the Princess of Heart where she can always reach Sora, always wake Sora up, whatever it may be. So you're seeing that again. Just like in KH2 when Sora was asleep, but it didn't stop Kyrie from being able to reach him and by proxy reach Roxas. You're seeing that again. He's asleep for these 7 days. Could be the Pow Pow fruit, Key Hunter. It could be. He's asleep for 7 days. She says, Sora, wake up and see. So she might be the one who prompted Sora to wake up in Quadratum in the first place. Right? So, let's consider that. Let's also consider this, right? As Beautiful Loser. Is that a Coheed and Cambria reference? Because if it is, you just went up a huge notch in my book. Could she be the one showing him images of Donald and Goofy? It could be. I've got a feeling that while while Naminé is primarily the one who's going to work to restore the memories, I think Kyrie is going to play a role in that. That Naminé will be able to reach Sora through Kyrie. So, again, Sora, wake up and see. So, what this also could imply is that Sora might be being deceived, right? So, look. All right, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Isn't there a sound of something opening in the end? They've been playing that sound at the end of every trailer. It's just like a generic sound effect to help transition the scene. It's not, I think that that unlocking sound isn't anything we should put too much stock into. Could Kyrie be a grounding factor while Naminé is working on the memories? No, Kyrie is the connection. Kyrie is the connection. But check this out, guys. We're going to talk about the Versus 13 of it all. We're going to talk about the Fabula Nova Crystallis of it all. So we know there's a lot of Versus 13 inspiration in KH4. We don't need to lay out that evidence anymore. It's plainly obvious at this point. There was a, not narrative trope, but a narrative vehicle that was going to be used in Versus 13. So there was Noctis and Stella, who are our two main characters, right? The Versus 13, Sora and Kyrie, or the Versus 13, Noctis and Lunafreya. So you had Noctis and you had Stella. Or in the Kingdom Hearts world now, we've got Yozora and we've got the Nameless Star. In Versus 13, Noctis and Stella were going to have the ability to communicate through dreams. Any Versus 13 out there, heads, want to correct me? Feel free to. It's an unreleased game. My memories are fuzzy, but I'm pretty certain of this. That both Noctis and Stella were going to have the ability to communicate with one another through dreams. I'm willing to bet that Sora and Kairi, much like them, will have the ability to communicate through dreams, just like they did. Yo, yo, yo! $5 super chat from longtime friend of the lodge. Treehouse says, Kingdom Hearts 1. Kairi says, are you still dreaming? Sora says, it wasn't a dream. Or was it? Exactly, bro. But anyway, getting back to it. Treehouse, dude, thank you so much for the $5. Very, very, very much appreciated. I Like Narwhal says, wonder if they might always spin the Noctis Stella into Sora Kairi being in opposite families, factions in Quadratum. I don't know if they would do that through those characters or others, though. You could. You might be able to get that if you trace Sora and Kairi's lineages all the way back, perhaps they were part of two warring factions. There's always the chance that something like that is happening. But again, when we consider bringing the Versus 13 of it all, bringing the Fabula Nova Crystallis of it all into Kingdom Hearts, that ability for the two, let's just say, for the two characters in the romantic subplot to be able to communicate with each other through a dreamscape, through dreams. And now we have Sora, who's been asleep for 7 days. And we have this new voice line from Kairi about Sora, wake up and see. It's possible that through the dream realm, Sora and Kairi are able to communicate. And you know what, sickos and normies? Melody of Memory already set a precedent for this. It already set a precedent for this. When Kairi was asleep and dreaming, and she was having that dream in the final world, Sora was able to interface with her. Now, his voice couldn't reach her, but I am willing to bet you Kairi's voice can reach him. I mean, what else are you to conclude from the end of that trailer? She's talking directly to Sora. Sora, wake up and see. So combine that Versus 13 lore about them being able to communicate in dreams. Combine the precedent in Melody of Memory where Sora and Kairi have been able to link up in dreams. The only thing was Sora was unable to communicate. But as we see with Kairi, her limitations on communication are not as rigid as Sora's. So her ability to communicate with him is a lot more, let's just say, likely than his ability to communicate with her. But will he remember who she is? He will not. That's the thing. He won't have any memory of who she is, but he might just be saying, this girl from my dreams, who is she? Like, you know, there could be this whole subplot that's happening while Sora passes out and falls asleep. You know, we toyed with the idea earlier that maybe when Sora, and here we'll pull it up in the trailer, right here. Where's our boy? That when Sora passes out like he does here, let's put this on mute, right? That when he passes out in this way, when he goes to sleep, he might wake up in the Coco world, wake up in the Disney world. That might be his means of travel. But consider a different idea. What if when Sora passes out like this, he falls asleep, but it takes him into a dream realm or a dreamscape where him and Kairi are able to communicate, where him and Kairi are able to interface in some way. Now, again, as we talked about, if he truly is without his memories here, I don't think he's going to remember who Kairi is there. But that's going to make those interactions all the more interesting, all the more compelling, because we, the audience, have the context to know, hey, these two are like, these two are dying to reunite. These two, like, we have the context of Sora and Kairi. So Sora trying to piece it together, we're going to be like, dude, come on, piece it together. It creates a very compelling dynamic between the two. But again, I think we have a scenario where Kairi can say things to him, but Sora can't respond. And maybe every night or every time Sora passes out or falls asleep, Kairi is able to try and remind him of something, try and communicate with him in some way. Maybe the letters that she wrote to him in Kingdom Hearts 3 will reach him in his sleep, right? Maybe, remember in KH4 when she said, you know, I just like talking to Sora. She mentions that when she's just writing her letters, you know, in the training realm that Merlin created, when she's just writing those letters. Axel's like, oh, do you want me to send it for you? Are you going to send it? And she goes, no, I just like talking to Sora. You know, I'm wondering if maybe those are going to reach her. If everything she wrote is going to reach Sora in some way. And again, when we think about Versus 13 and the ability for characters like that to communicate in dreams, again, I just keep coming back to it, that Kairi might be someone who's guiding him or trying to restore those memories for him. And again, we've seen the precedent set for it, not just in Melody of Memory, but in Kingdom Hearts 2 as well. Now, not only that, when she says, Sora, wake up and see. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat want to start thinking on like, well, what is she trying to get him to see? What does she think is fooling Sora that she wants him to wake up and see? What's being hidden from him that she wants? I think it's just the memories, because we've talked about this. You know, I think, going back to a little bit of what we were talking about earlier, I think Kairi and Naminé are going to work together to restore the memories. I think both Kairi and Naminé are going to work together. And when she's saying, Sora, wake up and see, it could be about restoring the memories of who Riku is, who Xehanort is, who Kairi is, who Sora is, what's going on, all that sort of stuff. The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear. Exactly. Wake up and see the light. So I think a big part of what that is it's telling us that Kairi is going to play a key role in Sora restoring his memories. That it won't just be a Naminé relevant plot point, but that Kairi herself is going to have a role to play in that. Because Naminé may have the ability to restore memories, but Kairi's the one with the ability to reach Sora. And if she can communicate to Sora and Sora can't communicate back, that's okay if all that needs to be accomplished is restoring Sora's memories, communicating his memories to him, right? It sucks Sora can't talk back, but frankly, you only need that communication to go one way to restore his memories. So I think when we hear that line from Kairi at the end of the trailer, that it could be leading to the fact she will play a role in that regard. Okay, mentioned that she could be the one to wake him up in Quadratum. Mentioned that she could be the one to awaken the memories, stuff like that. And now, the next thing I wanted to talk about. Wake up and see that this is unreal. Exactly. It may not. Exactly. Let's take a little swig before we continue. I may need to take another break and run to the little Keyblade wielder's room, but we're still going. Landy, is this where the phone comes in? The rotary phone? The phone might be different, right? Because the phone is in reality with them, right? The phone is not in the dream reality. So I like the idea. I like where you're going, thinking on the phone, how this could play in. But in terms of the dream communication, the phone wouldn't necessarily need to be there. So I'm curious to see what the phone might be if this sort of subplot is handled in the dream realm. Let's do a little swig. You think they might connect through the wind phone? Again, this is what Laura was getting on Twitch. I'll say this, if they don't connect via dreams, they will absolutely connect via that phone. Like I said, remember guys, with Kairi, a major part of Kairi's Princess of Heart power is the power to communicate. That communication is a primary part of Kairi's Princess of Heart power that I think too often gets overlooked. So keep that in mind. And now finally that swig. Let's take that little break so I can refill my waters, run to the Keyblade wielder's room, and then we're going to talk about more things with Kairi, more things with Riku before we close up today. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll get to it. Much more Kingdom Hearts on the way. All right, all right, all right. We are back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Is that on pause? Yes, it is. What is playing in the background? There's something playing in the background. Don't know what it is, though. Oh, I think it's the KH4 trailer. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I got something playing in the background. I'll make sure I have everything muted. You know something? I have the monitor on. Let me hear that. I see. Okay, okay, we're good. Okay. Don't mind me. Got that taken care of. Let's jump into this again. I see FF Type 0 will rear its head into this. Yeah, again, anything Fabula Nova Crystallis is clearly making a comeback here. So, I would keep an eye out for that. So, there's something I want to talk about in particular. Let's do this, okay? Let's pull up to a certain point in the trailer that we got yesterday that, in my opinion, cannot be ignored. So again, getting back to this, there's a reason I bring this up. Because, putting it mildly, if there is a Donald and Goofy segment like this, I'm willing to bet that there is a Kairi and Aqua segment. Now, the only way that there's not, and I'm not saying this is probable in the slightest. I would love this, I'll say before I say it, but it's not likely. If for whatever reason there is not a Kairi and Aqua segment in Kingdom Hearts 4, it's because Kairi and Aqua will be getting their own game. Again, not saying that's likely, but at this point, from everything we've seen, if there's no Kairi Aqua segment, you know what to wait for. That said, and I want to hang on this, especially while we're talking about Kairi, I fully believe that not only will there be a segment for Kairi and Aqua, but that they have a very important role to play in this game that I don't think enough people are giving them the credit they deserve for it, or are recognizing how important of a role they're being set up for. So allow me to explain it like this. Okay? There's a lot of moving parts in the Kingdom Hearts narrative, right? There's a lot of moving parts. We're even at a point now where we have two separate sides of reality where things are moving. Now, Sora and Riku and the Master of Masters and Xehanort are all in Quadratum. And as we learned, so is Lucio. So many of the major players in this plot are in Quadratum. However, just because the Master of Masters is there, and just because Sigurd is there, and just because Sora and Strelitzia and Ava and all these major players, primarily from the mobile era, are there, doesn't mean that what's going on the Kingdom Hearts side of reality isn't incredibly important. Don't forget that even with Lucio coming over to Quadratum, that the foretellers are still on the Kingdom Hearts side of things. The foretellers, Aced, Envy, Gula, and Ira are still at the Keyblade Graveyard, still on that side of the conflict. On top of that, the black box is in the Kingdom Hearts side of the world. The black box. On top of that, Maleficent and Pete, who are contending for the black box and are seen in the graveyard with the foretellers, are also major players. And we heard last night from Nomura himself that Maleficent is going to play a very important role in this game. So, if Maleficent, who is not in Quadratum, is going to play a major role on this side of reality, who is there that can contend with Maleficent and the foretellers? Who do we, with the playable characters we all have, rely on for the foretellers and Maleficent? It simply leaves, and again, considering that Mickey is in Scala, considering that Donald and Goofy are in the underworld, and that everybody else is over in Quadratum, that leaves Terra, Aqua, Ven, and Kairi to handle the foretellers and Maleficent. Oh, and isn't it funny how that lines up? Terra, Aqua, Ventus, Kairi with the four foretellers and Maleficent? You know what I'm saying? So point being, there's an entire side of reality that's unaccounted for. Totally unaccounted for. Don't forget Yen Sid, like Kid Q is saying. Totally unaccounted for. A lot of the major players are over in Quadratum, but the Black Box and the Foretellers and Maleficent are all here. And somebody, again, the plot is going to move on both sides of reality, but somebody needs to be over here to contend. And I think that's where Kairi, Aqua, Ventus, Terra, and Axel come in. I don't think a lot's going to happen with Roxas and Shion, because we know that they were brought back, not like last minute, but only in the final draft. And was, you know, not that Nomura doesn't have a plan for them, but whatever plans Nomura has for Roxas and Shion don't compare to his plans for the Birth by Sleep trio and Kairi. Not that they won't have a role, but it's very clear that they were optional. Whatever the future of Kingdom Hearts is, or whatever Nomura's vision was, Roxas and Shion were optional. That's why they were only put in the final draft. That said, he clearly had a plan for Terra, Aqua, Ventus, particularly Ventus, and Kairi, particularly Kairi. So, considering that, and see, here we go, Drew's nailing it. Lee and Isa will likely be tied up with Subject X-oriented things. So you see how everybody is sort of finding their place, but when it comes to the Foretellers and Maleficent, it's leaving Terra, Aqua, Ven, Kairi up to match up with those four. So, again, considering all of that, the plot isn't only going to happen in Quadratum. Everything they're showing us is limited to Quadratum, but there's still a whole other side of reality that's worth considering. And I'll say this. I will say this. And this might upset some people. But it is possible that Kairi doesn't go to Quadratum in KH4. And personally, I don't care if she goes to Quadratum or not. You don't need to go to Quadratum to be important. There's a lot of important things happening where Kairi and Aqua are now. So I almost don't even want them to go to Quadratum, because I want Kairi and Aqua on that side of reality to fight their own battle. You know, I don't want Kairi to show up in Sora and Riku's battle and take third chair. I want her to be the one to fight Maleficent. I want her to be the one to fight alongside Aqua 1-2. You know, not that I don't want Sora, Riku, and Kairi to all be together in one party one day. I would love that. But at this point, if you do it too soon, you're just shoehorning her in without it making it feel deserved. I want to feel the separation. I want to feel the yearning for Kairi and Sora to reunite. So I honestly wouldn't mind if she doesn't make it to Quadratum this time. Now, personally, I think she has to make it to Quadratum eventually. I don't think there's any compromising that. And allow me just to pull this up real quick. I'm going to pull it up on the screen for you guys. Just real quick. Okay. Let's pull this up. And let me knock this out, guys. I promise you, Nomura is going to make good on this. Nomura will make good on this. I promise you. But I don't think keeping this moment locked into KH4 is necessary or is a given. I think it's possible it could take her a whole entry to get there. But allow me to reiterate that she doesn't need to go to Quadratum to be important. She doesn't need to go to Quadratum to play her role. Her and Aqua, Terra, Ventus, they have their own battles to contend with on the other side. And if we want this plot to move and pace itself neatly, you need contenders on both sides of reality. If we wake up halfway through this game and Kairi's in Quadratum and Aqua's in Quadratum and Ventus is in Quadratum, like, what's left on the Kingdom Hearts side of things? We don't want a story that's completely isolated in a Quadratum. We want enough players and contenders on both sides that both sides of the world are moving, progressing, growing, stakes are raising. So I personally don't care if Kairi makes it to Quadratum. What I care way more about is that she has her role to play, is that she gets to be more involved. Because even though I'm the first one who will sing the praises of Kairi and say that she's a much better written character than people give her credit for, when you consider the kidnapping trauma angle, when you consider the Princess of Heart powers, when you consider that she has saved Sora's life in every single numbered title in the series, KH4 will be no different. Kairi will save Sora again in Kingdom Hearts 4. But in order for her to do that, she doesn't need to go to Quadratum. I would much rather she goes toe-to-toe with Maleficent in KH4 than for her to go to Quadratum and fight as the number 3 with Sora and Riku against against Sigurd or the Master of Masters or whatever have you. And don't get me wrong, I want her to go to Quadratum. I think she's destined to go to Quadratum. But I think it's got to be saved either for the very end of KH4 or save it for KH5. I want to feel the yearning of Sora and Kairi being separated. I want to feel that yearning. I want Sora to be dreaming of her and desperately trying to grasp the memory of her, and us, the audience, desperately begging, come on, Sora, remember, remember. You know, I want that yearning of separation. Don't separate these two if you're not going to make us yearn. So this is why I think people who are like, Kairi's got to go to Quadratum, Kairi and Quadratum are bust, I think is such a terrible way to approach this. Such a terrible way to approach this. Nomura left her behind for a reason. Not just to train with Aqua, but to contend on that side of reality. But to get trained by Aqua personally. And I'm telling you right now, if there's a Donald and Goofy segment, there's a Kairi and Aqua segment. And maybe they're fighting the Foretellers. Or maybe they're fighting Maleficent. But either way, there's enough things to contend with that you could build a whole segment around those two that could be incredible. That could be incredible. Or maybe you have Kairi interfacing with Sora in his dreams and you get to play as Kairi working your way through Sora's dreams, and maybe you're unlocking memories little by little. Stuff like that. This is what I mean. Just that one line at the end of the trailer. When you connect it to everything Nomura's been building up, right? When you connect it to everything, all the pieces he's laid out on the table, the lines from Melody of Memory, from Remind, you start to see what's developing here. So, hold on, we got something. If someone could translate what Randall Adden put in there. But let's see. Nomura talking about the 30th anniversary was crazy. Yeah, they already have plans. They've already got plans. So we'll see what comes from that. But I guess my overall point here is don't sleep on Kairi, folks. Don't sleep on Kairi. She's been set up. She's been set up as one of the most capable wielders left in the Kingdom Hearts side of things. We can't underestimate that while she may not be at the level of Sora and Riku, and frankly, she shouldn't be at the level of Sora and Riku until her training with Aqua is done. But considering that she's not at that level quite yet, I would say that Kairi is one of the more capable wielders that's left. When you consider that she went toe-to-toe with Xehanort. And also consider, right, she has a very strong connection to Xehanort. So when she's saying, Sora, wake up and see, she might be trying to say, hey, that Xehanort guy's deceiving you. Hey, don't trust that Xehanort guy. She might be desperately trying to restore those memories. Because I also think the story between Kairi and Xehanort is not done, right? Axel kidnapped Kairi in Kingdom Hearts 2, and then Kairi made good on that kidnapping trauma, which was put in place by Apprentice Xehanort, mind you. Kairi made good on that kidnapping trauma and was able to befriend Axel anyway. And let's not forget that she didn't have apprehensions about this. Remember at the end of Dream Drop Distance, when Yensid proposes the idea, Kairi's like, what? The guy who kidnapped me? So she had those apprehensions because, again, she's been kidnapped as a baby, as a toddler. She got kidnapped as a teenager. This is a big deal for her. But despite that kidnapping, she still made friends with Axel. So I do believe she's been set up that she will end up befriending Xehanort in Quadratum. You heard it here first, folks. But that said, contrary to what the average Kingdom Hearts fan might believe or think, I don't think it's necessary for Kairi to go to Quadratum. I think it's way more necessary for her to go toe-to-toe with Maleficent or toe-to-toe with one of the Foretellers, or even have her go to a few Disney worlds herself. Have her go to Moana's world. Have her go back to Arendelle. Have her go back to Kingdom of Corona. I think that would be incredible. Seriously. We talk about that yearning, right? We're talking about that yearning. How do you create that yearning between the characters? Imagine Kairi going to Kingdom of Corona and Rapunzel's telling her all about Sora. Oh my God, he was so great. He helped us. If this is about helping Sora, we'll do anything, right? Just the same way with the Nameless Star, who was like, if this is about helping Sora, I just want to do everything I can. It would be great for Kairi to revisit some of those worlds from 3, like Arendelle, like Kingdom of Corona, and for characters like Rapunzel and Elsa to sort of embody that same idea of like, hey, if this is about helping Sora, we'll work with you. We'll figure it out. You know, I think something like that would be great. She called him Lee until he told her to call him Axel. Yeah, there were a lot of endearing moments between the two. So, I will say. Kairi has never been a fighter, so she's just a late bloomer. Exactly, Demix is Lord. It's like, not for nothing, but that's why I look at Kairi. I'm like, no, the writing for Kairi is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. Like, she's never been a fighter. As early as KH1, you see that Sora and Riku are just like a step ahead of her. When they're doing the race, Sora and Riku are just faster. Like, they're built for it. Kairi was never built for that. She's the Princess of Heart. But she's not settling just for that. And I think this is what actually makes her character really cool and inspiring, is that she's not just settling for being a Princess of Heart. She wants to be by Sora's side. She wants to, I mean, look at the quote right on the screen. She wants to be beside them and fight as a warrior. Doesn't matter that she's a Princess of Heart. Doesn't matter that she could restore reality. Doesn't matter that she has these communication powers. She wants to be in the fight too. And like Demix's Lord is saying, she's never was a fighter, right? She never was. She wasn't brought up that way. In Destiny Islands, she wasn't acting that way. In fact, Riku even mentioned she's just as lazy as Sora is, you know? So giving her the room to grow into this character is so much more satisfying to me. So for instance, if Kairi has a huge triumphant moment in KH4, part of the reason it'll feel as big and triumphant is because we got there steadily, okay? We got there steadily. And maybe, you know, power scaling doesn't mean as much to others as maybe it does someone like me. But listen, man, if KH3 booted up and Kairi was running that Keyblade graveyard as well as Riku was, as well as Aqua was, everyone would be calling bullshit. You'd be calling bullshit. You'd be like, after everything Aqua went through, you're going to put Kairi on her level? No, it had to be established that Kairi is just not on the level as Sora, Riku, Aqua, Terra. That's important for her character. And then when she finally grows into that, which she will, but when she finally grows into that, it's going to be that much more satisfying, okay? Because it's going to feel earned in a way that Sora and Riku weren't. Because for Sora and Riku, right, they're very much natural talents, right? Riku was destined for the Keyblade. After that, the Keyblade chose Sora, okay? They've been going on those adventures wielding Keyblades since they were tiny little kids, okay? They got training from Yen Sid. You know, they went through all the dream worlds. There's so much that they did that it would downplay all of these characters' accomplishments if you allowed Kairi to catch up so quickly. So I think it's actually having respect for characters like Sora, Riku, Aqua, and Terra when you're doing a slow burn approach when it comes to Kairi and her growth through the series. Said what I said. Demix's Lord says Kairi has to earn it like the others. Growth is better than just showhorning. It's so true. It's so true. And this is what I say, man. Listen. You hear a lot of people say, you know, they'll hear what I'm saying, right? They'll hear what I'm saying. I'll point out her character arc, the kidnapping trauma, the things she's overcome, the way that she's grown, the way she fought Xehanort by Sora's side and stuff. But people will still say to me, like, yeah, but I just want more from Kairi. I just want more from Kairi. And I'm like, yes, but that's what writing a good character is that it leaves you wanting more, right? A good book leaves you wanting more. You want to keep turning the page. I got to start the next chapter because you're always left wanting more. People wanting more from Kairi is actually a sign that she's getting over as a character. Because you know what I don't hear? I don't hear people going, oh man, I really, really just want more Shion. Oh man, I really want more Olette. Oh man, I really want more Naminé. And now you might get some of that, right? But the truth is, you have people going, oh, I want more Kairi. I just want more Kairi. Consider this. Kairi has infinitely more screen time and impact than characters like Shion. Yet nobody's here begging for more Shion. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I felt very similar about Jill Warwick in FF16. Is that characters like those that are supporting characters, right? Not main characters, you know? Not that Kairi isn't a primary protagonist, but compared to Sora and Riku, she's more of a supporting character. You know what I'm saying? So, I digress. People wanting more of a character like this is actually a sign that what they're doing with her is working. That, you know, because again, there's lots of characters in the Kingdom Hearts series, lots of characters that have had less screen time than Kairi and have had less impact than Kairi. Yet Kairi is the one everybody's yearning for. And listen, I haven't been to a lot of KH conventions. I've been to 3 reconnects. And let me tell you this. I see a lot more people cosplaying Kairi than I do Naminé, Shion, or even Aqua. Say what you will. Among the female cast, I just see more love being given to Kairi than others. So, the reason I bring this up, and the reason I'm such a proponent of this, is because when KH4 comes through, and Kairi has a big moment with the Keyblade. She's had plenty of big moments, just not really with a Keyblade yet, outside of fighting Master Xehanort, and her really cool fight in Melody of Memory too. Let's remember that. But when she has her big triumphant moment with the Keyblade, what I don't want is a fan base that says, oh, they fixed Kairi. What I want is a fan base that appreciated her road getting there. Because I think there is a beautiful story there. There is a beautiful character arc there. And I think it would be wise to look at the trail of crumbs being left so you could see what Kairi is being built towards. This way, when it does happen, it not only won't seem like it's out of nowhere or catch you off guard, you'll be able to see how we were building towards it the entire time. So, I'll say that. I'll say that. Okay. Okay. The Fire Fox Creeper says, reminder, by the way, Sora and Riku both got new Keyblades in KH3. Guess who did it? Kairi. Okay. Yeah, nah, I like Dyza here. Everyone saying that's going to say, oh, they fixed her is getting brought out back. I agree. I agree. But don't worry. A bit of a hard ass from the KH fandom, to be honest. Yeah, well... Don't doubt my power. All right. That's going to saddle us up for Kairi. Let's shift back over to Riku for a minute. And hold on, let me make sure. Did I get everything out I wanted to about Kairi? I'm pretty sure I did. But anyway. Aqua and Kairi. So yeah. And I mentioned that too. A playable segment with Aqua and Kairi seems inevitable to me at this point. All right, let's get back to wrap up today's episode, back to the man of the hour, Riku. Back to the man of the hour, Riku. Res B says, I think Kairi gets a little over-the-top criticism. She absolutely does. She absolutely does. Okay? And all I'm going to say is, because I see some criticisms leveraged at Nomura and Nojima, and I will challenge anyone to find me another writing duo, writer, character designer, concept artist, who's created more iconic female characters than Nomura and Nojima. Okay? FF7 was 30 years ago. Yet Tifa, Aerith, and Yuffie are more relevant than ever. People gotta respect how good you gotta do to make people care and beloved a character for 30 years. That was unheard of. You know, that for video games, so to speak. Okay? Again, whether you talk about the FF7 girls, whether you're talking about Yuna and Lulu and Riku, whether you're talking about Lightning and FF13, whether we're talking about Aqua, we can keep going. They know what they're doing. But you gotta let them cook. You know what I'm saying? Gotta let them cook. But going back to Riku, just because it's his time to shine, he's in the spotlight here. I guess I'll touch on one theory I saw the chat discussing in the pre-roll. The way Riku is holding the blade, his Keyblade, is very similar to how Sigurd was holding it just before this happened. So I've seen some people say that there could be something going on here where Sora is just seeing Sigurd as Riku. That there might be some kind of connection there, right? That like Strelitzia is like the Kairi stand-in, Sigurd is like the Riku stand-in. So I've seen some people theorize that the Riku we're seeing here is actually just a projection, something Sora might be projecting onto Sigurd. Because again, you can see Strelitzia as like your Kairi stand-in and Sigurd is like your Riku stand-in. Demix's Lord says, gonna say it again until I'm blue. This isn't actually Riku. Sora's heart is projecting Riku over Sigurd. The way this scene plays out sets it up perfectly. So look, let's observe that on good faith here. Right? Let's observe that on good faith here and see exactly what you mean by that. Because I know, I got a feeling I know what you mean. Oh, let's sorry. Let's do this one. So you see how Strelitzia and Sigurd were in trouble. The dark side was coming down. Bam! You get that flash of light and Riku's. And now say what you will, I don't see Strelitzia or Sigurd around him. And that was Sora's voice who was screaming. I don't see Strelitzia or Sigurd around him. It sounded like Sigurd and Strelitzia were screaming when Riku comes in. Okay. Because I think that I believe that's Riku.
For an old coot.
Strelitzia! Sigurd!
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Yeah, I hear Strelitzia's voice, but I don't hear Sigurd's. I hear Strelitzia cry out, right? But I don't hear Sigurd. I hear Riku doing a similar sort of grunt to what he did in the Keyblade Graveyard when he was holding back the blast. That I hear Riku and I hear Strelitzia, but you know what? I don't hear Riku. I mean, I don't hear Sigurd.
Sigurd!
Yeah, it sounded more like Riku was fending them off. So that's an interesting observation. That's an interesting observation. And again, it's a similar pose. And I know everyone bringing up the missing link connection in those poses, but I like the theory, but I do think the change in Riku's outfit disproves it. It's possible. Could Riku have swapped with them? Now, that's an interesting thought. What if you can swap? What if there is the two quadratums, like a dream quadratum, and that people could swap between them? So maybe Riku and Sigurd just swapped places. It could be something like that. Okay, Rain13 says, no, that scream is Sigurd. In the Japanese trailer, it's way clearer that it's Sigurd. Riku's Japanese voice actor never goes that high. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, maybe like Usagi Oni is saying there, it's possible that like the dark side did the punch, the flash came in, Sigurd and Strelitzia maybe warped somewhere and Riku warped in. I don't know. Excuse me. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Let's see here. Looking around for anything else. Seems like a moment when Sora overlapping with Kairi's fight with Xehanort in Melody of Memory. Yeah, you know, again, we always look for the precedence, right? Where was the precedent set? And that's interesting. I have a Japanese voice comparison. Give me a second. Okay, that's good. We'll hang on to that. Okay, maybe it's like Kairi being replaced by Sora in Melody of Memories. Yeah, it could be a similar notion. And like I said, you always look for the precedent. We always look for the precedent. There's a post where Sora has joined in Fortnite since back in the old days where, yeah, I did see Sora is in Fortnite now. Fortnite and Smash. Who would have guessed? Yes, here we go. Demix is Lord. This is interesting. Something else to note. In mythology, Sigurd has the ability to swap appearances with somebody. Okay. Okay, here we go. First, I'm going to play this for you guys. We're going to play the Japanese Riku KH4 scream, and then we're going to play the Japanese trailer scream. So listen for it. Okay, perfect. And now we'll go to the trailer. Okay, you see, actually, that's interesting. In the Japanese version, the male voice sounds less like it's grunting or parrying and more like it's actually in pain. So yeah, no, that's Sigurd's voice that we're listening to. That's interesting. That's interesting. If Riku is a Dream Eater, then where's the symbol? Great point. Great point. It sounds more like Riku in the English version. Yeah, in the English version, I thought it was Riku. But upon looking at that comparison with the Japanese version, and this is how we figured it out with Ava too, right? We now know that's Sigurd's voice. That's Sigurd's sort of grunt that we're listening to. Okay. Did you see Sora has an earpiece like Sigurd? Yes, we do. We discussed that on the on last night's episode. Yeah, English sounds like powering up, and Japanese sounds like a pain scream. Yeah, that's why I'm inclined to think that's Strelitzia and Sigurd. And this is what's crazy, right? And this is where I'm actually starting to wonder if we're taking this for granted. 1 second. Are we being tricked? Hold on.
For an old coot.
Strelitzia! Sigurd!
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Something happened where they swapped places. Something happened where they swapped places because Riku is standing in the exact spot Sigurd was in. Riku's standing in the exact same spot that Sigurd is in. So I agree. There's two explanations for that. Three explanations for that. One, these are very clever edits and the two scenes aren't connected at all. That's one possibility. Two, Sora is projecting Riku's appearance onto Sigurd for whatever reason. Three, something happened here with that flash where Riku swapped places with Sigurd or swapped places with both Sigurd and Strelitzia. Where does that swap go? Does it lead to another quadratum? Does it just warp them back to headquarters? I don't know. But only one of those three is possible. Or, fourth possibility, Sean Tanzi says it's possible they are laying on the ground. Or that they got, like, projected back, right? They got, like launched backwards. It's possible that happened too. And as Esor is saying is, what if this is the other quadratum and they're just making it look like it's the same place? Well, that's why I said for the first possibility that it's very possible that they're just cleverly editing it to make it look like something it's not. Which would be very Kingdom Hearts of them. All right. Let's see. Bird Person says maybe Sigurd and Strelitzia lays on the ground, which would make them not visible in the shot. Yes. Have we seen a flash like that before? I don't think so. One with that kind of blue light, I don't see though. I don't think so. Okay. Okay. All right, look, gang, we're coming up on 3 hours. We are coming up on 3 hours, and I'd like to save some Kingdom Hearts ideas for some episodes down the road. You know, maybe something that we're doing next week. So I am going to wrap up today's episode here. Because again, we hit that 3 hour mark. I could keep, you guys know me, I could keep going another 3 hours, but I think better to space that out and, you know, hit another episode with some of these ideas. And like I said, I still have a whole Strelitzia episode I want to do. I still have a whole Strelitzia episode I want to do. Resby says, can we look at the screenshot from last year? There's something similar. Yeah, that blue particle light with Sora standing in the street. I suppose maybe we'll save that for another stream. But we are going to wrap up here today. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say that this was yet another amazing episode of the Landing Lodge. Love talking Kingdom Hearts. Any day we get to talk Kingdom Hearts is a beautiful day. We've got loads more episodes of Kingdom Hearts coming down the line. We've got an FF7 episode coming later this week. But next weekend, we'll be back to it with more Kingdom Hearts podcasts. I'll upload loads of clips to keep you guys busy, keep you guys entertained throughout the week. And yeah, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep getting to it. You know why? Because Kingdom Hearts is back, baby. Kingdom Hearts is back, and so are we. So be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Wait. I'm going too soon. Let's shout out those who threw their support our way. Shout out to Treehouse. Shout out to Artist Joint. Shout out to Rudacris. Shout out to Artist Joint again. Shout out to the Love Doctor 69 All Day 7. Shout out to Speaking Opposites. Shout out to Rudacris again. Shout out to Artist Joint again. Shout out to Little Orphan Funkhauser. Shout out to Hollow Purple Haze. Shout out to Grump Crump. And last but not least, shout out to Dille Dille. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I will see all of you beautiful sickos and normies next time.